This is the URT. We are the URT. You are URT. Welcome to the URT, people. Big up the United Real Therapy family. Big up Love Light. Early birders are in here already. Big up to the masses. Yeah, we've got an interesting show for you tonight, people. So please jump in, people. Jump in. Jim's at it again. Jim's talking like the parrot, mate, like the clown he is. He's outed himself to be a clown. Absolute clown. Yeah, man. Jim's at it. Jim's absolutely clown. Let me just try to invite some people. Jump on, people. Jump on. Yeah, people. Big up. We got another interview. Jump on if you are free. So I'm just inviting people. Just running a bit late. I forgot to invite people before, so just bear with me. Jump on if you are free. Yeah. Anyway, big up to you. Love and light, people. Please smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. We are on the road to 13K. So please subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. We are 36 away from 600, 12,600. We're still shadow banned. When you subscribe, you like the video, you comment on the video, it helps us try to beat the algorithm, which is against us. So please try to do that. Northern, did you forget we need to bootleg Sheep Show? Yeah, no, that's on Tuesday. Doing it on Tuesday, man. Tuesday. We're doing it on Tuesday night. Yeah. Ratcliffe, manipulative bastard. Yeah, well, it is what it is, man. It is what it is. Big up, everybody. Big up and love to everybody in the chat. Hit the like, people. There you go. Yeah, I mean, he's telling us how we can get rid of him. So big up to him. It's like he's almost tried to threaten the fans. Jim's threatening the fans. You're like a gangster. I'll walk, I'll walk. If he's pissed me off, I'll walk. Oh, God, man. Shit. Listen, Jim's trying to run away. Jim's trying to run away. Run away. Yeah, big up everybody. Big up to the masses. Please smash that like. Subscribe to the channel. Like I said, we've got a big show coming up for you tonight. Like I said, I don't know even if you saw the quotes of Jim. But Jim's threatening people out here. He's literally threatening people out here. He is threatening people. And what he said about Nice, just remember, what he's saying about Nice now, he could be saying about Manchester United very soon. Very, very soon. But yeah, watch your podcast with Hadal TV. Big up yourself. Enough respect. Yo, big up 5 a.m. Love King, appreciate you. Always love 5 a.m. Please get these. Hold tight, Jimmy, the bootlickers. Yeah, hold tight to Jimmy's bootlickers, man. The bootlickers, man. People who are trying to defend him now, but they look like fools, man. The stuff that he's been coming over here. David Advocate point here. Is it the regeneration not a good thing? Creates jobs and all that. No, and I got nothing against the regeneration. I've got absolutely nothing against the regeneration, Tawin. My point is that we're asked to wait 5-6 years. And the whole thing, the stadium, is to make money from the stadium, to hold NFL games in there, big concerts in there. And it's about outpricing the local people. So if the local people can't afford to be in the stadium, what's the point of creating jobs for the local people? It don't make sense, man. That's what I'm talking about. Majority of fans in Manchester, Manchester United fans, won't be able to afford to go to the stadium the way things are going now. Putting it out there. Just putting it out there. Now you can come back at it. Yeah, the protest triggered him. Yeah. He's like he's some kind of like like a little baby. He's crying like a little baby after what he's done to the football club. But yeah, it's really interesting. Some of the quotes, people. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. Some of the quotes have been really, really interesting. Yeah. I mean, let's get into the first one, eh? Let's get into the first one. Let me bring this up. This is him defending the Glazers, isn't it? Like, this is him defending the effing Glazers. No, it's not that one. It's not that one. It's not that one either. Which one is it, man? Is it this one? Bear with me, people. Bear with me, please. I'm just trying to find the right quote. I'm trying to find the right quote, people. There we go. Time to share. So this is Jim. Let's kick off the thing. This is what he's saying about basically about the owners. This is what he's saying. So let's jump right into it, people. Let's not hold right back. This is what he thinks of the Glazers. So he says here, to be fair to the Glazers, they're really good on the commercial side. What a genius Jim the Rat is. What a genius. Because that's all they've ever been asked about. They've turned the club into commercial brand FC. Manchester United. Ratcliffe begins. The people who advise me say the fans don't want to hear it. So I've got to be cautious. The fans don't want to hear it. What is this here? The fans. This guy's a comedian, I swear to God. He's such a clown. The people who advise me say the fans don't want to hear it. So I've got to be cautious. I get a lot of criticism if I support the Glazers. But the fact is, they're really decent people. Hey, wouldn't you be decent if you put a club that's never been in a debt and you've been creaming off, milking off and paying each other 10 million here, 15 million there, 30 million there in the last 20 years? If as a family you made over 200 million for doing absolutely nothing, none of you working one day, and you made over 200 million, and people think it was just like they made more money. They made more money than 200 million. Don't forget, for owning the club, they get paid for operational costs, for being the owners, and then the dividends they got out of the football club. So don't get it twisted. So as I say, I've got to be cautious. I get a lot of criticism if I support the Glazers. But the fact is, they're really decent people. They're East Coast. You know, East West Side. West Side. Yeah, my guys tried to start the old 90s East Coast, West Coast battle. They're East Coast. Jim is an absolute clown, you know. The old East Coast America, they're very polite. They're very civilized. That is, I hate when people use that. So what you try to say that the rest of Americans are not civilized? They're the nicest people on the planet. I mean, there isn't a bad bone in Joe Glazer's body. And level up, please. Please, people. I need to hear you lot. Listen, smash the like on the video if you're a fan of this clown. Please smash the likes on the video. Big up to people. Oh my gosh. As we go through it line by line, people. So he says that he's like, yo, we're West Side on here, man. F the East Coast. West Side, big up Pack. RIP 2 Pack. So he says, the fact that they're decent people, they're East Coast, you know. The old East Coast, the old East Coast America. They're very polite. They're very civilized. They're the nicest people on the planet. I mean, there isn't a bad bone in Joe Glazer. I mean, did he literally say that? Is that being taken out of context, or did he literally say that? Seriously, people. Did he say that? Or is it being taken out of context? Yeah, happy birthday, Jamie. How's your birthday? How's your birthday? But did he say that? Or is that somebody putting it on? Yeah, big up Danny B, man. Big up to you. Same way Sir Alex Ferguson protected the Glazers. They've always been good by me. They've always done good by me, yeah, because they've gave you money. That's the reason why. But people, please talk to me. This is like Ratcliffe needs some advice in this. We don't judge the Glazers on whether they're nice, but entirely their action for 20 years. And commercially, since 2016, United have been declining in real terms. Like, yeah, yeah. It's just, I find it difficult, people. I really find it difficult. I find it difficult. I find it difficult. Let's just go through what the Glazers have done here. Glazers, Manchester United, yeah. 1 billion pounds in transfer spent to nobody. Tax avoidance, not illegal. Designation of Old Trafford. 2013 squad, second biggest step in Europe. Sale of 52 million shares for 814 million. There you go, people. This is what they've done to the football. This is what they've done to the football. This is what I'm sure you know all of it by now as United fans, but this is where we're at, people. This is where we're at. This is where we're at. Let me see if the article comes up, or is it behind the paywall? I think it might be behind the paywall. No, actually, some of it is still out here. So this is a bit where he goes into. Let's get into it, people. Let's get into it. Is everything good? Big up to you, people. Likes on the video, please. Let me just give the poll. See what people are. URT. Welcome to the URT, people. Bit of double speak there, people. Bit of thinking the matrix there, as you've seen. Let's get our teeth into this article. Let's get our teeth into it. URT Army. Smash that like. Smash that like for Jim the Clown. Yay or nay? Yay or nay, people? Yay or nay? Let's see if we can get into this article, people. Okay. Big up everybody. Massive odds. Not seen him for a long time, mate. Not seen Irfan for a long time. You'll have to ask him, my friend. But let's get into it if we can get into this. Please. Let's get into this here. Let's get the quotes because I don't want to hear this journalist waffle. To be fair, my guy here is not pulling any punches. The fans thought they were getting a benevolent custodian looking down and laughing indulgently like the Teletubbies some baby. What they instead is a billionaire who ups ticket prices, layers off staffs, makes judgments that are random at best, with key personnel hired and fired an enormous cost. And the Glazers still the majority owners of Manchester United. The club continuing to serve their debt. Ratcliffe's advisors don't like him talking about his partners. He speaks positively, and he does it. And he does it distance him further from the fans. There we go. There we go. Ratcliffe was driven from Craven Cottage chauffeur, not an angry mob, when supporters surrounded his vehicle. United had won that day, but the ticket price rises have been announced with no concession for children or pensioners. Children, disabled or pensioners. So he continues. So to be fair, the article is just laying it out there, the facts of how much of a clown he is. Ratcliffe's credit said tickets at Old Trafford should be third of those at Fulham. Ratcliffe disagreed. He believes it should be more expensive to watch the biggest club in the world in their new stadium, which is planned 100,000-seater capacity. There will be room for more affordable seating. But it's a long way of 5 years, at least. A lot of rough sea to cross, particularly getting the government to uphold his end deal. If this friction continues, or heaven forbid gets worse, can he stick it out? So this is what he's saying. Boy, oh boy. Let's get into it. He says, it can be unpleasant, he says. I probably failed on having fun front. I mean, I can put up with it for a while. I don't mind being unpopular because I get that nobody likes seeing Manchester United down where they are. It's not about where we are on the table, you absolute numpty. And that nobody likes the decisions we're having to make at the moment. But if I draw a bit of fire, I can put up with that. But I'm no different from the average. I'm no different from the average person. It's not nice, particularly for friends and family. Oh, oh God. Oh, his friends and family are hurt. His friends and family are hurt, people. They're hurt. People, let's get the likes up on this video, man. Let's get to 100 likes. Because let's enjoy this article for a minute, people, before people join us. Let's get to 100 likes quickly. Let's do it. His friends, this billionaire, tell me how out of touch you are without telling me how out of touch you are. Nobody's held the gun. Nobody's poo-pooed anything to your head. Nobody's getting a gun to the back of you saying, you know what, do this. Nobody said that to you. You're a Chelsea season ticket holder. You wanted to buy Barcelona. Ineos have got themselves involved in all sorts of sporting ventures, from sponsoring a New Zealand All Blacks to being part of the Boat Racing World Cup to being sponsors at Spurs in the stadium, Ineos sponsors around stadium, at Tottenham, to Formula One, to the Swiss team, to I know that is for money laundering. I know that for a fact. Why would he want to know Swiss team? It's some money laundering shit you're doing over there. To own in Nice. So nobody is forcing you to do this shit. Ain't nobody forcing you, bro. Ain't nobody. You're a billionaire. You're living in the Cayman Islands like that. Feet up. Nice villa. Swimming. What am I having for lunch? What am I having for dinner? You know what I mean? Should be inviting people to the party, man. Not that type of party, people. Not that Epstein kind of parties, if you know what I mean. Just normal, just having dinner parties. That's what you are. Or at least give some of the money back to people. People from where you're from. Help out people. But here you are, a billionaire. Boo-hoo. Cry, me, and the rest of the United fans, except for the bootlickers. The bootlickers are eating this up, people, by the way. Let me just tell you that. The bootlickers will be eating this up like it. Oh, he's a human. He's still human, Jim the Rat. Jim is human. They'll be like, look, he might be a billionaire so out of touch, but he's human. I don't know. I won't put it past him. Yeah, no word of a lie, but he thought he could buy back Barca. Honestly, he thought he could buy Barca. He wanted to buy Barca. But you know what I mean? So let's continue. But please, let's get to 100 likes. Nearly 200 of you in here now. Let's get to 100 likes quickly, ASAP. Let's get to that 100 likes, people. Jamie, get on it. Get on it. Any of the mods out here, get on it. Let's get the likes up. Let me have some fun with this article, man. Let me get back to the fun. Oh, so we left it at that, he said. But I'm no different to the average person. It's not nice, particularly for friends and family. He says, so eventually, if it reached the extent that the Glazer family have been abused, then I have to say, look, enough is enough, guys. Oh my gosh. I like to say, look, enough is enough, guys. Let somebody else do this. They can't really come to the match. The Glazers. They've retreated into the shadows a bit now. So I'm getting all the bloody stick. People, come on. People, man. Where's the crocodile tears out here, man? It's crocodile tears out here, people. People, what's going on? You're not buying it. Abs, how you doing, brother? Take time with grief, man. Take time with grief. Grief is it's horrible, man. May she rest in peace, your grandmother, brother. But take time with grief. Sending love always. Ah. Oh, gosh. Oh, people, we're having fun with this, people, honestly. So let's go. Let's get back into this, people. He says, so eventually if it reached that extent that the Glazer family have been abused, then I'll have to say, look, enough is enough. Let somebody else do this. They can't really come to the match. The Glazers, they've retreated into the shadows by now, so I'm getting all the bloody stick. Like, I have to read it twice just to get it. We bought in, and I haven't seen them since. It's thank you, Jim. You're doing a really good job. And at the moment, I don't have security. I don't have to walk around like that. But it would defeat the object, wouldn't it? You couldn't tolerate it. that level, it just wouldn't be fun. Tell me you're out of touch without telling me you're out of touch. Help me out here, people. Please help me out here. Help me out here. Oh, help me out here, people. Please. What is this going? Seriously. What are we doing out here? Help me out, people. I beg you. How out of touch you must be. Do you know what football club needs fans? Some of us. Our whole week is planned around the football. That you got fans in different parts of the world who are getting up at 3 in the morning. Morning to watch Manchester United. That's what I'm saying to him, mate. Listen, he should have just chilled. Yeah. No. You have to laugh at it. You have to laugh at it. We have to take the piss out of it, bro. You can't. We have to take the piss out of it. I mean, oh God. They are American, bro. The Glazers are American. That's where they're from, innit? But let's just put it this way, man. Still don't mention what he plans for the full sale, right? 100%. But let's get back to the fun and games. We've bought in, and I haven't seen them since. I'll run the side. They were like, good luck, mate. The club has been in decline for the past how many years? Good luck sorting that mess out. They left him to it. And then he's like, here, you couldn't tolerate it at that level. Actually, it just wouldn't be fun. I don't have to walk around like that. But that would defeat the object. He says he doesn't have security. And then he continues. He said, I haven't had it so far, not really. I've had a guy through the car window at the Fulham match that got asked him. Big up to that fan, by the way. At the Fulham match, that's what I would call got answering me, but I haven't had it where I would call it threatening behavior. All talk, my brother Rob and my brother Bob sends me fucking critical notes. It's a bit like me and Ruben. He gives me advice. This is incredible, people. I swear to God. You can't make this up. I swear to God, this is comedy gold. This is comedy gold. I need to. This is comedy gold, people. Please don't just smash the like on the video. You can't get any comedy gold than this. He's a comedian, I swear to God. You know what, Jim? You need to give up on idiots. You need to pick up the mic. You are a comedian. You are a comedian. The my guy's a comedian. Yeah, honestly. People, have you got Jamie? Let me know. Have you got 100 likes yet for the video? 116 here. The only solution is to have a proper football regulator forcing all clubs to be 51 fan owned like Germany. No, 100%. 100%. Yeah, big up, Sydney. Nothing but love. Appreciate you. And you know what? Respected the same way. Rivalry, but respect is always there. Rivalry, passionate, and banter can go along. I hope you get smashed tomorrow, for instance. Oh, come on, the Geordies. I hope they smash you tomorrow. You know what I mean? But yeah. I just need to go back to it, people. Please, let's get to 100 likes, Jamie. Let me know when 100 likes. He says here, let me just get this up again. I haven't had it so far. And I can imagine the journalist asked him, have you had anything at this moment in time? Have people come for you? He said, I haven't so far, not really. I've had a guy through the captain on the Fulham match that I got asked in. But I haven't had it. What I would call threatening behaviour. He says here, although my brother Bob sends me fucking critical notes, it's a bit like me and Ruben. He gives me advice. Oh my God. Oh my God. Listen, you got to get more than that, mate. You better employ a good security team, mate. And that's no threat. But fans are going to let you know they're not happy about what you're doing to their football club. And especially Mancunian fans who support United. Those of us who are in Manchester who support United are going to let you know what you're doing sacking working class people. We're working class people, mate. What you doing sacking people when you've made the errors that cost the club nearly 40 million? What are you doing? What are you doing, Jim? That by the sounds of it, it's not always taken. On holiday, south of France 4 years ago, I bumped into Bob Ratcliffe. He told me that Sir Jim's company, Ineos, where he ran football operation, would never buy Premier League club. Too expensive, no money in it. The only way football in England worked as an investor, he said, was to start in the championship, build up and win promotion. Then in December 2023, his big brother bought into the biggest Premier League club of them all. Here's the strange thing, the journalist continues, he says here. Here's the strange thing. Let's get into this. He says here, here's the strange thing. Ask Jim his motivation. And it is none of the rare occasions he's stumped by the answer. He could play the proud Mancunian card, but he does not. And it isn't the money, he insists. The 100% not where I've come from at all. I'm making enough money in chemicals and oil and gas and all of that stuff. So I can't honestly answer why I did it. It's quite a difficult question. With Nice, the French league, you can buy a club for 100 million and it's much cheaper access. But I don't particularly enjoy going to watch Nice because there are some good players. But that level of football is not high enough for me to get excited. Talk about throwing people under the bus. Talk about throwing people under the bus. Talk about that, people. Throwing people under the bus. I think Jim Ratcliffe has some good intention for Manchester United long-term, but Manchester United fans shouldn't have to wait so long. The club ultimately needs to be debt-free. Yeah, thank you, Cindy. Appreciate you. I never thought I'd see Nura happy with Jim. Listen, it is funny, but what do you want me to do? Do you want me to fake that and not laugh? What do you want me to do? Some of the things I'm reading are hilarious. Jamie, how are we on the lights? Tyrone, big up Tyrone. I visited Nice a few years ago. It's one of the most peaceful places I've ever visited. And the people are friendly too. Big up to you, Tyrone, man. Big up Tyrone. Long time on the life, bro. I've not seen you on the life for a long time. I always see you on Twitter. But big up to you, King. Yeah, it's crazy. Look at City, cost 200 million. And even after spending $1 billion, the club is worth 2.3 billion. How's 100%? Has anyone ever read what he did at Nice with Tadibo, who was discouraged to fast? Wow. That is very interesting. That is very interesting. Yeah. He says, I'm on a tumor with Yaba, Mr. B, bath time to time. Yeah, big up to you though. Love, love, love always. Um, that is crazy. That is the crazy. Discouraged to fast in Ramadan. Yo, you can't tell people to do that. That's because of their religious beliefs, man. You absolute muppet. People, please get the likes up. Let's get to 100 likes. Not the videos of the videos, the content. I've been doing 2-hour content for you guys in Ramadan, and the least you could do is like the effing video. That's all I ask, just for you to like the video. You know how tiring it is. I should be at the mosque doing Taweed right now, but instead I'm here making content for you guys. So please, the least you could do is like the video. Just the least you could do. It's like the video, people. Not asking you for something that you can't do. So here he goes. I can't answer honestly why I did it. It's quite a difficult question with Nice. In the French league, you can buy a club for 100 million. It's much cheaper access. But I don't particularly enjoy going to watch Nice because there are some good players, but the level of football is it's not high enough for me to get excited. They're playing better football than us at the moment. What are you talking about? Look, he belittles them, looks down on them. So if he's saying that about Nice, look how he belittles them. They're actually third in the French league. Only they're like 16 or 17 points behind Paris Saint-Germain. But they're third in the French league, and we're 14th. So here's my theory: Ratcliffe owns Manchester United for the same reason as their former chairman Lewis Edwards or any other number of rich men have owned football clubs since the dawn of professional competition. Ego, prestige, because they can. He's not in it for the same reason as his partners or hedge funders or venture capitalists. He's in it, I think, because it's something to be the owner of one of the biggest clubs in English football. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Some of it might be true. Some of it might be true. But I do think he wants some investment in for that billion, and that he wants to recoup some of that money. I went to Monaco. I saw 1-bedroom flat for 14 million. Different world. Yeah, that's where he lives. Yeah, big up Sheikh Ariane. People, please smash the likes on the video. We're not even 100 likes yet. We're catching broke out here. So the least you could do is like the video. We're not even close. We haven't even got 90 likes on the video. Oh, yeah, come on now. Smash the likes, people. Smash the like. Let's get to 100. Let's get to 100 likes. It costs you absolutely nothing. Seriously. I could be in the mosque right now. It's Ramadan. Fasting all day. The least you could do. Come on, people. So to one cup final. Okay. 100%. And I said that, and he exposed himself last time. He exposed himself last time. When he said, oh, yeah, I went on a walk and people didn't want to check my passport. Instead, they want to take photos with me. Yeah, he's not being arrested in this country. He's in a tax haven, Monaco. So he doesn't have to pay tax. Tax haven. Yeah, big up, people. Please smash the like. Let's get to 100 likes. But let's continue with this lovely article. Let's continue. If you like sport and Ratcliffe's portfolio from cycling to sailing to Formula One, I can confirm he does. Owning Manchester United is cool, except when it's not. Right now. When Ratcliffe is in a lighting rod for a regime that has been consistently failing for more than a decade now. The first things that Alex Ferguson said to me at the shirt can be too heavy, Ratcliffe says. It applies to everyone here, really, the coach, the players, the owner. It's turning me into an old man. It's hard to do interviews on camera for 40 minutes. One cock up and you're legendary for it. Let's get into this bit. He says, the first thing Alex Ferguson said to me was that the shirt can be heavy, Ratcliffe says. It applies to everyone, really. The coach, the players, the owner. Well, if we had the right players, if we had the right owners, if we had the right coach, then it wouldn't be. It would be an absolute privilege and an honor to coach, to own, to play for one of the most historic, romantic football clubs in the world of football. Let me repeat that for the people at the back. It will not be heavy if you had the right owners, the right coach, and the right players. It's like, it's turning me into an old man. It's hard to do interviews on camera for 40 minutes. One cock up and you're a legendary for it. There he goes. It continues. This is the like the gaslighting. It just continues. Remember the jewelry chain chief executive, Gerard Ratner. Yeah, he shares a bit of a rat with you, innit? R.I.T. The guy with the rings. Spent his life building business. One word, all gone. It takes a lot out of you because it's around the world in a heartbeat. It goes viral. Everything scrutinized. And it takes small pieces. And the journalist says here. So here's Ratcliffe's. Here's the deal. Ratcliffe didn't want to talk about the Glazers. His PR people certainly don't want him to talk about the Glazers. Meaning Ratcliffe doesn't often talk about the Glazers. But then their relationship has become the elephant in the room. The great unspoken mystery at the heart of Manchester United. How do they get along? Why do they get along? Everyone wants Ratcliffe to point the finger of blame, yet he can feasibly do that. He owns, how can he feasibly do that? He owns 29.94% of Manchester United. The Glazers control 67.9%. They have got to work together. For critics outside the club, fill your boots on the debt, savings, interest charges, on the stadium in decline, the club in decline. Ratcliffe cannot join those chorus. Cannot join that chorus. Okay. Let's get the next target, people, is 150 likes. Can we get to 150 likes? Leon defender just cooked us. Okay. Let's have a look. Leon defender, Musa Ninketia, I'm facing Manchester United in Europa League quarterfinals. We're not going there to make videos or watch Old Trafford, but to qualify. We have the squad to cause them problems. We're here to go all the way. Easy now. Let me get Lesso in the comedy. Let me get Lesso in the comedy. Big up Lesso. Bro, you don't have to do the super light, man. Seriously, you don't have to, but big up to you, Abs. Nasay says, big up my bro Nur and you, our family. Thank you for the kind words and laughter. Feeling much better now. Big up everyone. Big up Abs Nazar, man. Appreciate your super chat. But brother, love. So Leon defender, big up to you, Lesso. Lesso, you there? Big up to you, brother. Hope you're well.
Yeah, I'm 100%. I'm here.
That's good, man. Have you had a good day? What's the weather?
Yeah, no, it's terrible, man. It's cold and yeah.
Is it cold? It's
Let's
gone back
just
to being
say
cold again.
yeah, man. Unfortunately, man. It's supposed to be autumn around this time, but yeah, it feels like a bit of winter, the beginning of winter time. But
Gee,
yeah,
wow.
no, it is what it is.
That's crazy. Breaking in recent days, Manchester United have started to seriously discuss bringing one more centre back this summer. United directors have started making calls to inquire. Sheikh Arian, big up Sheikh Arian. Oh God. Oh God.
Yeah.
Bit of breaking news about team news. Let me just put this for later. Ruben Amber remains out potentially being on the bench versus Leicester. If he's fit, I'm going to take him just 5 minutes of Mason Mount. It's perfect. Bumbaye would love that type of talk right now. Bumbaye would love that type of talk. People, we need to get to 150 likes for the video. Like I said, it's the least you could do, people. It's the least. So please smash the like. Big up to you. 40 more likes, people. The video deserves. Right? So we're going through bit by bit. We're going through the Jim Ratcliffe stuff. So we're here. We're going through it, King. So big up to you. I hope you can join us in our laughter. Manchester United board tried a boardroom executive war once and ended up with the Glazers. So in the end, when we talked, I persuaded him to say what he thought about his partners on the record, and it won't be popular. He knows that, but in the modern vernacular, it's his truth. And a confrontational alternative is not going to get him or the club anywhere. Okay. Where he comes. I think we've read this before, but let's just rewind for the people who've jumped in late. This is Jim on the Glazers. To be fair to the Glazers, they're really good on the commercial side. Ratcliffe begins. The people who advise me say the fans don't want to hear it. So I've got to be cautious. I get a lot of criticism if I support the Glazers. But the fact is, they're really decent people. They're the East Coast, the old East Coast, America. They're polite. They're very civilized. They're the nicest people on the planet. I mean, there isn't a bad bone in Joe Glazer's body. I mean, part of the problem is there isn't a bad bone in his body, which is why he didn't bloody. What was he going to say then? So he's called them civilized. Let's go. He's saying East Coast, West Coast here, man. Tupac, man. West Coast. You heard? All the East Coast people. You heard? All the New York people. You heard? Every other sentence, like, you heard every other word. Other than saying, yeah, but they go, you heard? None of that you heard. West Coast, West side on this side, man. So he's basically, they're very civilized. They're the nicest people on the planet. Yeah. And you know what? If I have robbed the club of its heart and soul, I'm sure I can be civilized. I'm sure I can be very polite. I'm sure I can be the nicest people because I'm getting ownership money from the club for operations and all that bullshit. And I'm also getting dividends. So, of course, I'm going to be nice. He tells, so let's just continue. Big up to Sean. Sean, long time. Hope you're well.
Big up, guys. Big up, guys. I'm well. Thank you.
We're just going through Jim. Jim's a comedian, absolute comedian. He tells of, it's about to say who he blames for the mess United are in. include not the Glazers. I mean, I wouldn't have tolerated Ed Woodward or Richard Arnold. Richard was a rugby man. He didn't even understand football. Ed didn't have the credentials to manage the club. He was a merchant banker, an accountant. He wasn't the chief executive. Later he wants to the subject. So the way I look at this is that you had two management teams at Manchester United for the past 12 years who did a poor job because the owners, well, like, say, Steve Parish at Crystal Palace and Daniel Levy at Tottenham Hotspur, they weren't really into the details. Those who know what's going on, they're every day, and the management at their clubs are on the short leash. He's using term short leash.
I know I just joined, but that sounds a lot like familiar critiques I've heard from you and other people, right? That Ed Woodward wasn't the right person, Richard Arnold wasn't the right person. Are we happy that Jim Ratcliffe is saying this?
No, because who put them there? Did by a miraculous way? Did Richard Arnold, did Ed Woodward do some sort of magic in front of the Glazers' faces to give them the jobs for 12 years? Both of them, being directors of the football club after failing, mismanagement. Did they hold the Glazers to a gunpoint, Sean? You got some breaking news for us, Sean. Did they?
No, wait.
Did they go on?
But
They take? Let me finish. Did they take one of the Glazers or some of the Glazers hostage? Did they take Avram Glazer's kids hostage and forced him to give them the job? I'm just curious.
No, they didn't. But
okay.
Wait,
Sean. So they didn't do that. So Sean, they didn't do that. They didn't.
Continue,
do you
right?
insist that? Do you insist, Sean? Do you insist that Richard Arnold and Ed Woodward did not kidnap the Glazer kids, 2, hold them to a gun to their heads, to the Glazers' heads, 3, have some sort of videotape on all of the Glazers getting up to no good? So all 3 possibilities are not. They're not.
None of the above. None of the above.
Well, then we're not here for it, and then we're not here for it. We're not.
No, then listen first.
Listen to me. If those 3 things are happening, then I could say, you know what? Maybe we feel bad.
That's a straw man.
Then we're not. No, it's not. How is it? How's that?
It's a straw man because it seems pretty obvious to me. Calm down, Nuruddin. Listen, and I'll explain to you. Listen, and I'll explain to you.
No.
Hear yourself talk, Sean. Go ahead.
No, Sean. No, I'm sorry to say this. If I own this.
But if you listen first, then you would understand. Just calm down and listen. Just calm down. No, but you finish.
No, Sean, you're not that. No, I'm sorry, you're not getting the edge way in.
No, Nuruddin, you could either do the show yourself and hear yourself talk, or allow the guests that you invite to make points and talk to.
No, because you know what? Because you know what? You've made the accusation. You've said something. I need to put it to the test. So
no, I didn't even finish what I was saying. You interrupted me and you're going off on a tangent. And I'm just waking up from sleep. I don't have the energy for this back and forth. Let me make my point really quickly. I think it's obvious to me. It's very obvious to me that implicit in Jim Ratcliffe's critique of Richard Arnold and Ed Woodward is a critique of the Glazers. Like he doesn't need to spell it out and say explicitly that the Glazers are the worst thing since Hellfire.
That nonsense point, and what's the point of you making that point?
No, the point I simply made. At
that point, the majority of Manchester United fans, except for the bootlickers and the sheep, has always been, you've hired these people, Glazers.
That's the same point that Jim Ratcliffe is making.
So
if you come down and listen, that's the point that he's making.
Why are you
That's
pointing
the point
it
that
out?
he's making.
No, he's not making that point. No, he's not. He's coming out saying, it's them, it's those. Glazers are nice. He's telling you they're civilized. They're from the East Coast. What are you on about? So let me finish. Hold your horses. Let me finish the article. So he goes here, 12 years. Says the mismanagement, Manchester United have been given a huge amount of rope. The owners just managed the club and left the footballing side alone, and they've made a lot of poor decisions over the 12 years. Stupid things. They've made a complete cook-up of it. Shocking, really. They couldn't see where they were headed. The first management group they bought, they thought they understood what and wanted to get involved in buying footballers, but didn't have the knowledge to buy footballers. So they went into the marketplace, spraying money around. It's just random, wasn't it? And then he goes on to say, I don't subscribe to that school of thought, he says. Well, it's just life in football. Ups and downs, these things happen. Because if I look at Real Madrid and Barcelona and Bayern Munich, they don't do that. They just stay at the top. And it's not like that here because it's been poorly managed and they've made poor decisions. He continues to say, look, I like David Moyes. I think he's a really good manager. But to go from Alex Ferguson to Moyes is not where I would have gone. Moyes stepped into those shoes of Ferguson, who won the Premier League 13 times, who had won the Champions League twice, and then you're handing it over to a guy who's never managed big players and never won anything. He's not necessarily to get the personality and stand up in front of them. Stand in front of them or them all. Okay. He's just here. And I don't think Real Madrid will make that choice as a coach. If you look at coaches of the club, you can't always get it right. But you should have found the best chief executive in the world and the best coach in the world, because Manchester United is the best club in the world. Instead, they get both of these decisions wrong. He continues, and then he says, for this bit, we're rushing through because I can see we haven't got that much time left on the show. So in my mind, we have a very professional partnership with the Glazers family, but have you met them? They're really honest, straightforward, not what you expect when you read about them in the press. They're both, Abraham and Joe, the most involved in the club, passionate about Manchester United. Damn, I'll be flipping passionate if I'm getting managerial fee and I'm getting dividends over 200 plus million. I like them as people. To be honest, they have given us they haven't given us a bloody hard time. They could have after we cooked up with Dan Ashworth and Eric Ten Hag. I could have, but he didn't. One that mentions, so as I say, one could mention stones and in glass houses, but what is indisputable is that Manchester United have many years been given the impression of being utterly directness, aside from the Glazers' ability to extract revenue. The club that had been fallen behind not just rivals such as Liverpool, Manchester City, but clubs would have not previously been in place in the same orbit. Above them at the moment, Brighton, Hove and Albion, Fulham, Bournemouth, Crystal Palace and Brentford. It's one of the reasons Ratcliffe is reimagining of a club that's focused on executive management. In other controversial areas, giving Manchester United feverishly awaited patiently for Ashworth's release from Newcastle United, then removed him from his job as sporting director at even greater expense after 5 months. The official line is obscene chemistry, tells Ratcliffe theory that you wanted us to judge. My guy thinks he's taking my man on a date. He wanted a judge, a man who could tell him who the next coach should be and who the next striker should be. Here are the three options as left back, and you've got a facilitator, a man who methodically builds clubs from the academy training ground. Ratcliffe did not agree. There's a story in the biography of the raceover owner Robert Sangers about the being introduced to John Manager, who was described to him as the best of judge horse flesh in Europe. This is what United needed more than a decade after Ferguson's departure, a football equivalent of Mania Judge Jason Wilcock has been increasingly empowered as a technical director, but Ratcliffe believes the issues runs even deeper. He says here, the biggest correlation between success and money, he says, But then Manchester United broke the mold because you spent money so poorly. The other thing coming to play was hugely underestimated, and Manchester United never saw it. They didn't notice there were two clubs who used to be in third tier, 2006-07, third of the size of United, who both bought by betting companies, who had immense amount of competing power, data analysis, which much smaller budget, and spent their money so much better than Manchester United that they are now ahead of them. United, you continue to see United.
I mean, I don't know if you want to read the whole thing, right? But like all that, I just want to jump in and say again, just to retrace for the people in the back. If you're looking for Jim Ratcliffe to criticize the Glazers in the same
we're not looking for that.
would,
No, we're not looking for that.
Do you mind for 1
No,
second?
we're not looking for that. We're not looking for that. We're not looking for that.
Interrupting me, right? I'm sure you're not. If you're looking for Ratcliffe to speak in the exact same terms as you would or as anyone else would, you're not going to get that, right? But part of what we learn in school is reading comprehension. So somebody doesn't have to say rain is falling for you to determine that what they're saying is that rain is falling, right? If they describe it as showers falling from the sky that wet my clothes, you can deduce from that rain is falling. So when you hear Jim Ratcliffe talking about the failures of the previous regime, how poorly money was spent, the failures of Ed Woodward and Richard Arnold, you can, I think, as informed people, deduce that he is criticizing implicitly the previous regime, the Glazers. He doesn't have to say, the Glazers, you suck balls, or you ruined the club,
no, we're not
or you're the worst people since sliced bread. But everything you've read so far, this whole article, it is in fact a very profound critique of the previous regime, how they spent money, who they hired, what their focus was on, all of that. But as a professional that Ratcliffe is, rightly so, he has to choose his words carefully and I think respectfully. And I think he's done a good job, in my opinion, of communicating extensively the failures of the previous regime in a way that I think matches all the same critiques that people had before. So Ed Woodward is a banker, wrong person to manage the club. Same thing that Ratcliffe is saying. The club spent money on the wrong players. Same thing that Ratcliffe is saying. We hired a lot of players who are not good enough. Same thing that Ratcliffe is saying. And to me, the anger directed at Ratcliffe and I know you're denying it, seems to come from a quite, I think, misguided expectation of him that he's going to come in and, talk about the Glazers in the same way that you would or anyone else would. Everything that he has said in this article that you've read, every single thing is the same critiques that you and many other United fans have had of the Glazers. And he has done it without being direct. But again, I'm saying, and the caveat is, you have to be informed and able to process the information. But if you read and if you can understand and process what you're reading, that's what Ratcliffe is doing. But hey, I think there are challenges, I think, in that regard with understanding what's happening. But it's obvious to me that Ratcliffe is criticizing the Glazers. He doesn't need to call them bastards, I think, for him to get his point across.
What you've done is, Sean, you've times 1 with 2 and come up with 50. Let me say something to you now. Everybody knows, we all know, the reason why we don't like Jim the Rat, Jim the Snake, Jim the Rattler, the reason why we don't like him is because we had 12 years of mismanagement from the fucking Glazers, and he's come in, and within 12 months, he's made error after fucking error after error. And let me stop you right there, because you added 1 and 2 and come up with a fucking 52, yeah? And let me explain to you something. We know what the fucking Glazers have done to this fucking football club. This channel was set up to tell people about what the Glazers are doing to this football club. So that is kind of patronizing. But what do we do to say, don't even fucking say a word about them? We don't give a fuck. To me, actions speak louder than words. You've already gone into bed with the fucking Glazers, right? We don't give a fuck about what you say about the fucking Glazers, about how nice they are, how civilized they are. We don't give a fuck about all of that. We don't, right? We do not give a fuck about any of that. No Manchester United fight done. So what you do, self-preservation. You keep fucking stum. You keep because we already know, all of us can read between the fucking lines that he's bailed them out. He's bailed them
apparently
out.
All of us can't read between the lines.
You've had your moment, Sean. You had your moment. You've had your moment, Sean. You had your moment. Let me finish the point. So, stop patronizing us, Sean. We already know. Actions speak louder than words. He's in bed with them. And he is even more incompetent than these fuckers, right? Because he's actually got hands on the fucking steering wheel. At least they could go, oh, it was Woodward, or it was Ashwood, even though they've been there crashing the fucking car every fucking day, take it out of the drive, right? Him himself, in the last 12 months, error after error after fucking error. That's what's happened. So, save it for somebody who wants to listen. And if I want to go back to the top of the article, this is what he's moaning. He's moaning like a little fucking, some little fucking rat that he is. He's moaning like a little rat. People are not being nice to me. Let me give you what he says here.
No, but are you listening to yourself? Does this sound like a well-adjusted response to something?
This is what the guy asked him. I said, have you got any bad things from the United fans? I haven't had it so far, not really. I've had a guy through the car window at a full match. I got asked me. He said, but I've had what I would call threatening behavior. I thought my brother Bob sends me fucking critical notes. It's a bit like me and Ruben. I don't know what the F he's talking about. But then here he says here, look, he says, we bought in and I haven't seen them since. This is about the Glazers. Doing a good job. He goes, I don't have security. I don't have to walk around like that. But it would defeat the object, wouldn't it? If I couldn't tolerate it at this level, it just wouldn't be fun. And before that, he said this. The Glazer family are being abused. He goes, so eventually I've reached he's talking about, he goes, if you reach the extent that the Glazer family have been abused, then I have to say, look, it's enough, guys. Let somebody else do this. They can't really come to the match. The Glazers, they have retreated into the shadows a bit now. I'm getting all the bloody stick. So he's moaning like somebody held a gun to him. Nobody held a gun to the Glazers' heads about keeping Woodward, Matt Judge, and what's the other guy? The last one, Richard Arnold, there for the past 12 fucking years. Nobody. And here he's like, it can be unpleasant because for my family and friends. Well, get the fuck out of the football club then. Who told you to buy into it? Who told you to buy into it then? Who told you to bail them out? Your vanity fucking project. So, Sean, save the patronizing tone for somebody else. Who
I mean, but you're proving my point now, right? I mean, you sound a little unhinged.
The facts are on my side. The facts are on my side. The facts are on my side. My side, my guy. The facts are on my side. 12 months, they fucking got in a manager, paid 12 fucking million for him to get him out of a contract.
They made a mistake. They made a wrong decision.
They got a director of football for about 6 to 7 million, and then had him in a job less than the time he was on fucking, they were paying for him.
Poor decision as well.
Then they kept Eric Ten Hag when we all know he was done out here. So they've cost the club
poor decision too. Yes, they've cost the club some money.
Right?
They've cost the club some money. Yeah.
They're sacking working class people who are some people I know who are my friends who having to live in a city like this, who are United fans who love this fucking football club more than him or any of the fucking Glazers would. So save the patronizing tone. Go ahead, Jarvis. I want to hear what you got to say. Jim's frightened. He says, if he had enough,
hearing how you sound, if I were him, I'll be frightened too.
He's had enough. Yeah, and you know what? Well, a football fucking club.
You guys don't sound like grounded or
means a lot.
Hinged to reality as well.
No joke. Football club means it has a heart and soul, and it's part of it. It's a center. It's almost a crown in the community. That's what a football club is.
But you also need to be able to process information rationally.
Sean,
you also need to be able to have a rational thought process for hearing things, understanding what you're hearing or reading, and processing the information.
It means a lot more to a lot more people than a little making money machine and a billionaire's vanity.
Yeah, you don't get to claim to be the most righteous United fan.
That is real.
You don't get to claim to be more righteous about your fandom than anybody else.
Football club. No,
you don't love United more than anybody else. You don't love United more than me or anyone else.
Glazers don't love Manchester United.
Who made you the judge of who loves United?
Don't love Manchester United.
Who made you the judge of who loves Man United or not? I mean, I don't understand. Do you sound like somebody who loves United? Like, do you think you sound like somebody who loves the club?
What are you talking? You're just waffling. Now you just.
Do you think you sound like somebody who loves the club?
You just waffling. You're
what is
absolutely
waffling? I have agreed with you.
Waffling.
I have agreed with you that
right now you're waffling. You are just waffling because you know I bought the facts and I've checked everything that
you're screaming.
You've got nowhere to go, Sean. You have nowhere to go. The facts don't care about
where are we supposed to go
on this one. They don't care about what you think.
The dispute here is
You're making it out that the Glazers, now the new one is you're telling everybody and everybody watching that the Glazers love Manchester United and Ratcliffe loves Manchester United.
That's not what I'm saying, Eugene. And you're proving my point that you have some problems with listening comprehension, right? I'm saying if you listen, right, what I was saying from the get-go,
finish what you've started. Finish.
What I was saying
loves the football.
What I was saying from the get-go, right? If you just calm down and listen, is that what I'm hearing Jim Ratcliffe say in this article, everything that you've read, everything that I've read from him saying, he's also making the same critiques that you are about the Glazers. Everything you've read in this article.
I don't need to hear that. I don't need to hear
that.
Calm down.
Calm down and listen. Just listen, and you might understand. Listen, and you might understand.
We're not here for that.
And you might understand.
Sean, I've read the article.
You might understand.
There's nothing for me to understand. There is nothing for me to understand. The most important thing, and I wanted to update, I wanted to update some of the people who've come in late, is the bit where he's like, I've had enough. If I get any abuse, I've had enough. Well, get the fuck out of here then. And about his friends and family, it doesn't look nice. What the fuck are you talking about?
So
people
drink some water, Nuruddin.
Listen, people treat this football club like it's a religion. It's like a religion to them.
Yeah,
that's what it means to them.
Drink some water, right? Like or
mate, no, I don't need to drink nothing. I don't want to
calm down.
Nothing. I don't know. No, I'm not. Listen, that's a disrespectful. You're not telling me to calm down, Sean. No bootlicking, no sheeping for fucking Glazer and Jim.
Okay, so I don't get to tell you to calm down, but you get to accuse me of you get to use pejoratives and accuse me of bootlicking. Right. Okay. So again, right, all I'm simply saying is that if you're able to listen, if you're able to understand English and read and process information properly, you would get that everything that Jim Ratcliffe is saying, everything that Jim Ratcliffe is saying, right, is exactly the same critiques, but given his position and where he is, he's limited in how he can describe the Glazers. That makes sense, I think, to every rational and normal, well-adjusted human being. Now, what you've heard from Nuruddin so far, I think, is not representative of the entire fan base, right? It is unique to a particular section of the fan base.
We know. There's booligans.
Sure.
People who camps ago, how should I lick the boot? Should I lick the side? Or should I lick from the bar? Where should I lick the boot from?
Go back with me.
And the rest of them are like, meh,
right.
Sheep, mate. That's what they are.
Yeah.
So go.
So it's also quite often, right, the refuge. It's also often the refuge of those who have poor arguments to accuse their opponents, right? To accuse their opponents of being sheep or of being bootlickers, right? Because you're unable for some reason to process information normally, right, and calmly. So there's no bootlicking I'm saying here. If you claim that Ratcliffe has made mistakes, they've wasted money. The club is not any better 12 months later than it was 12 months ago. You can make all those points, I think, without sounding the way you do. And when we talk about the toxic environments, right? When we talk about the toxic environment, basically, that has been created around the club, I think this is a perfect example. And I don't know if it's because I just woke up from sleep, like when I got your DM on Instagram, but I don't have patience for it today, right now. I just don't.
Okay. Well,
okay. Can Jarvis
you know what you need to do, Sean? Sean, maybe get a cup of tea, get a coffee, whatever suits, and then come back in a minute and then read the article again. Let me just go to to Jarvis. Jarvis, welcome to the stream. I'm sure you've seen the article. I'm sure you've seen Jim saying, enough is enough. I've had enough. One fan, he wanted a selfie. He thought the fan wanted a selfie, and the fan was telling him about these ticket hikes for the disabled, for the youngsters, and people are already bribing. A lot of my friends are already bribing their young young children to support his football club, Jarvis, and the disabled. So the elderly disabled, and he's thinking one of them got arsey with me. And for my friends and family, it doesn't look good if I'm getting abuse. So that's the beginning of the article. He then talks about how Richard Arnold and Ed Woodward, like basically, if you want to believe what Sean was saying, if they basically got guns to their fucking heads, that they must have kidnapped the Glazers children to get the job. They must have, got a dodgy video of the Glazer family, or they must be holding guns to their heads for being in charge for 12 years of the football club. 12 disastrous.
But that's
years.
just flatly dishonest. Like that's just
That's
transparent dishonest. That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
We're repeating what they said. You said like everybody knows already.
I just spoke 2 minutes ago, so clearly there is a problem with comprehension. That's not what I said.
Go ahead.
I brought my referee whistle.
Go ahead.
I have a red card here and my yellow card. Guys, behave.
Jarvis, maybe you need to referee indeed, right? Because that's, and just so I can repeat what I'm saying, right? So that nobody doesn't misrepresent me anymore, and you can respond to my point. I'm saying that Jim Ratcliffe is making the same critiques of the Glazers that many of us had, but he is limited by his position currently. He's limited by his position and his relationship with the Glazers about how he can talk about them. But when you describe the failures of the previous regime, I think you're criticizing the previous regime, the Glazers. You don't have to call them any of the names or describe them in the way that most of us would do as fans. But everything I'm hearing from him is, to a large extent, the same critiques that we've all made about Ratcliffe.
Sean, you always make good points, and when you argue, you argue very well. But okay, put it on. Let's turn it around. This article, what is the negative things you can find on Ratcliffe? Because I'm just gonna tell you, when I look at this, firstly, I looked at it could be two things. Maybe it's just a PR move to gain the fans' trust, or it's genuinely accountability from Ineos and Sir Jim's side. So, what do you think? Could it be a PR move, or could it be just he wants to be accountable?
I think it's 5 million% PR. It's all PR, right? I think Sir Jim recognizes that they've lost the PR battle with the United fans. The fans don't trust them. The fans don't respect them. The fans don't like them because of these failures that they've made over and over again. So clearly, he's on a PR sweep right now. He's talking to Gary Neville. He's talking to BBC. Yes. He's talking to Times. Anyone who will listen, basically, and he's trying to put the blame on the previous regime. If you would hear what he's saying, he's talking about and naming names, naming players specifically who he feels is overvalued. That's something that we would love to have heard from the previous regime. So, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And second of all, it's United's poor performance now under the new ownership. Now we are heading towards our worst season since the relegation season of 1974, and it's under new ownership. So the next question is, how much of this responsibility falls on Ratcliffe and Ineos?
Or
should we just give them a free pass? And for how long will that free pass last?
There's no free pass, Jarvis. It's 100% their fault. And as I've said several times, they've made wrong decisions. Keep it in Hag, like dilly-dallying on Ten Hag. What they did with Dan Ashworth was a mistake as well, right? The way not backing what's his face, Amorim in January was a mistake as well. They didn't handle the fact that he was just hearing the idea of a fundraiser from Gary Neville for the first time in that interview. That was an embarrassment. How can Gary Neville be giving you an idea of how to raise $40,000, £40,000 for you, Sir Jim, and the £400 billion club? You're saying you just had that idea for the first time. That's an embarrassment. So it's 100% their fault. 100% their fault. And I think you can say that. In a productive, more conversal manner than we had before you brought out your referee.
Yeah. Well, the next point is about comparison to the Glazers' ownership, because it draws parallel with the Glazers' experience, as he mentioning the abuse that the Glazers are facing, and now he seems to get some abuse too, and it feels like me that he has some what's the name? He feels that the Glazers are poor. It's poor them because they're getting all this abuse. And you know, he says that he will be willing to step aside if it gets this bad.
So
And is this a warning to the fans, or is it just a sign of weakness?
It's a sign of weakness because Sir Jim, like all billionaires, is incredibly thin-skinned, right? It's a feature of Sir Jim, Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos. These guys are Mark Zuckerberg. When you get to that certain of level, you surround yourself with yes men. People only tell you what you want to hear. So the kind of criticism that he has faced or he has experienced basically is nothing he could have ever imagined. So yes, it's a sign of weakness on his part, right? And it is a threat, I think, to the United fans, because it's him basically saying that he will take his ball and run away. But I would then say, on the other hand, that I don't think, this is my opinion, I don't think we necessarily have the healthiest, I think, fan base. And maybe people can say that some of that is deserved. But I think in this age of YouTube and social media, there's a lot of outrage farming, deliberately, right, and intentional outrage farming to just get people all the time essentially worked up. So I think Amorim, Sir Jim, the way they speak, the way they talk about the quite obvious failures that are, you know. So when Amorim, when Ratcliffe talks about how we overpaid for Casemiro, overpaid for Mason Mount, overpaid for Onana, overpaid for Højlund, I thought I was listening to Rance or Said, right? These are the kind of things that people say, that we all say all the time. So I mean, the guy doesn't want to get abused. He's chicken shit because, you know, that's what billionaires are like. But I think on the other hand, yes, United fans, I think, also need to drink some water and basically try to have, I think, more productive conversations about what's going on.
But Sean, the last question from my side. Sorry, Noreen, I'm just gonna ask Sean the last question, and that is do you think he underestimated the high pressure of owning a club like Man United?
Yes, and for the same reasons that, like I said before.
But was he naive coming into this? Because when you look at it, you know, this is the biggest club in the world, you know, when it comes to fans. I mean, the pressure is high, especially when we don't get results, and it's like a pressure boiler in Man United, you know. And when he came in, he must have understood.
No, I don't think he did.
Because now, when he comes in now, 1 year later, it feels like he didn't understand what he bought himself into, and that worries me a little bit.
I mean, I agree that it is worrying, right? But I think it's understandable because, kind of like Amorim, for example, you back yourself. You back yourself when you come into a situation like this. You romanticize, you know, the engagement. Sir Jim, you know, you're coming to take over. You're going to change things. You're, you know, backing this new Ten Hag manager with whatever. Kind of like Amorim as well. You're coming in the middle of the season, but you're Ruben Amorim. You're the right one. You're not the chosen one. You're the right one. You back yourself, and you come 20 games later. You're like, yeah, guys, I'm sorry. I didn't expect it to be this bad. So, I mean, it's worrying. Yes, I agree. It's worrying. It's concerning, but it's understandable, right? Because I understand why Ratcliffe coming into this position, like Amorim, would have backed himself, his management skills, his whatever experience that he had, and the plan that they had to get more results out of the situation than they have right now. And I think part of the PR tour that Sir Jim is going on right now is in a bid to, I think, also in a clearly manipulative way, be like, hey guys, you know, I'm putting my hands up. Here are the, you know, mistakes that we made. Give us some time, bear with us. We'll see how things look like in a couple of years.
And last but not least, I want to say, just mentioned how difficult the pressure is on him and on his on his family, and for me, yeah, I have sympathy because family is family, but you know, it's like he's trying to get some sympathy points from the fan base.
It's manipulative, yeah.
Yes, it is. It's extremely manipulative for me. I feel when he says something like this, and for me, it tells me that it's like, I can't quite trust him. You know, he's a. I feel like he's kind of a manipulative liar sometimes, and when he states stuff like this, don't bother, please.
No, but the
no
alternative
one forced you to come in and buy Man United.
Yeah, but the alternative is to lie down and take it, right? The alternative is to lie down and take it, and I think, I mean, the proof will be in the pudding. the proof would be in the actions that we see. And I think if all of us had talked about how shit the club had been for the last 12 years, I think it's understandable to say that 12 months is not enough time to turn around a ship that has basically been crashing, every year for 13 years straight. You need more than 12 months to turn it around. I think that's a reasonable request. I think it's also reasonable to expect that in the first 12 months, after so many years of institutionalized failure, right, failure that has seeped deep into the bones of the club, it's fair to expect that in the first 12 months of taking over that ship, there would be some mistakes. Now, if you have ideological, political differences with the idea of one being a billionaire or the idea of firing working class people to save costs, that's a different argument that we can have on another show, right? As a separate argument. But when Ratcliffe says that,
no, it's all part of it. It's all part of the conversation. But anyway, Jarvis, I wanted to ask you, what did you think of the manipulation? Tell me you're not out of touch without telling me you're out of touch. Every time, every interview he's done, he's so out of touch. It's deafening how out of touch he is. His tone, his attitude, the gaslighting, the manipulation, the lying. All of it is bullshit. The guy is a fucking coward. He's a coward. I'm not asking him, Jarvis. No one Manchester United fan is asking him. We all understand action speak louder than words. He's gone into bed. That's why we call him Jim Glazer, right? It's not Jim Ratcliffe, it's Jim Glazer. No. But in this article, he starts telling me how civilized they are, how East Coast they are. East Coast Americans, they're so nice people. They're so polite. Guess what? I'll be fucking polite if I'm getting operational costs to the tune of the millions for owning a football club. And I'm taking dividends out as well. Oh my God, you would never see such a polite person. You would see me on the P's and Q's. Thank you, sir. Please, may I have this? Please, can you put that 10 million in that account? Thank you very much. Please. I'll be smiling at everybody, the whole world. So, please, I just wanted to ask your 2 pence, and I want to ask Leicester 2 pence, and then we'll go into Leicester.
Bring up the super chat first. We have a super chat from Abs Nasser. Big up, Abs.
Okay, big up. Actually, let me just get these super chats. Big up. Yep. Let's get this one first. Big up to M14, MUFC 14. I disagree with Sean, but you have to invite him. Please let him finish his sentence. Nah. Listen, I'm not having anybody become an apologizer for Jim or Glazers, bro. I can't. I'm telling you, I can't. I cannot. Friends of mine who've got mortgages to pay, who've got kids to feed, in the most difficult time in Britain, which we've faced austerity for almost 16, 17 years, and this government has continued it. People who love Manchester United or are so passionate about Manchester United have been got rid of because of his mismanagement. So I'm not having anybody defend him. I'm sorry. That's how it is. That's how I feel. I'm not going to hide it. I have every right to be fucking angry at what's been done to this fucking football club for the past 12 years and in the last fucking 12 months. Yes. But big up to you. I appreciate the super chat. Yeah, seriously, big up Jarvis, Leicester, Sean. Fuck the Glazers, and Jim the Rat. What's your guys' thoughts on the new stadium? I'm 50-50. Why the fishnet? Oh, no. Jarvis, maybe you can take that question. Go ahead.
Yeah, we need a new stadium. We know because the Glazers, again, has let our history, Old Trafford, rot. It was bombed by the Nazis in the Second World War. And we've seen the Busby Babes, the Munich thing happen. And we still live. And Old Trafford is our history. So we should have done everything possible to keep Old Trafford. But now it's too late. And it's just because of the Glazers. So it's a shame. But we need a new stadium. I don't know. I'm not an architect, so I can't even say if it's a good stadium or not. I like what I've seen so far. The fishnet, it made me first think of what will happen with the birds. Don't you have birds in Manchester, seagulls or pigeons? It will be like a graveyard of birds in that fishing net.
Yeah.
With all those people eating popcorn and hot dogs during match time. So, I don't think they have really thought it through. The people in charge of this fishnet. So I don't think it will happen. You know, it will be a disaster seen from a I don't know, animal protective standpoint. PETA will be stopping that right away. But yeah, I like the stadium. Yeah. Big up apps.
Okay. Now 100%. Listen, at the end of the day, I think everything Java said, I say everything he said that I think I agree with. We could have had in the last, we could have spent $1 billion of we serviced the debt. We could have spent that $1 billion and $1.5 billion, and we would not have bought all those crap footballers if we had proper football people managing a football club for the past 12 years. So we could have had a new stadium already, or we could have actually turned Old Trafford every summer in the last 10 years, added more. Because look, it's 74,000 capacity. So now we only needed about 26 more thousand to add it and to proper look what they've done to the Bernabeu. Look what they've done to. I've seen some photos of what they're doing to Camp Nou, you know, Barcelona Stadium, and what they've done to the Real Madrid Stadium. Liverpool, what they've done to Anfield. It looks really modern. Liverpool, what they've done to it. It looks crazy. So we could have done that. We could have stayed in that historical place. That that stadium full of so much history. We could have stayed there, but they've made it so impossible now. And I think even the most die-hard United fan who lives in Manchester, who walks past that, who's got so many incredible memories, when you walk around the stadium, you see it, like how much is falling apart. But go ahead, Lesso, and then Sean can answer that as well.
Okay. Yeah, man. I think we digressed this already in the previous show in terms of the stadium that we need to move because.
Lesso, can you speak up a little bit? I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm saying in the previous show we did digress in terms of the moving to a new stadium or not, and obviously we needed to move because of the infrastructure. In terms of the infrastructure, it's falling apart and everything. So, it's years and years of negligence on the ownership's part, and unfortunately, it has led to the point that we had to move to a new stadium. And yeah, with regards to the Glazers, and as well as Ineos and Jim, personally for me, he is criticizing them. He is definitely criticizing the Glazers. But the part that I think most of the fan base disagree on is the fact that he had to actually, reiterate that they're good people. There's no need to do that. When you have to learn to read the room, you know that these fans they don't have a good relationship with the previous ownership. So you don't have to talk bad about them, but at the same time, you don't have to mention them. And that's the part that he got wrong in this PR. I remember somebody mentioning it and saying whoever's advising him to say whatever he's saying in terms of mentioning the Glazers and all these other things is doing a very bad job, and that person should be sacked because right now the man is facing a lot of backlash in terms of just those comments. It's not even about anything else. It's just those little comments that the Glazers are nice people and all these other things. He didn't have to say all of that. You can always, even in PR, they teach you this. I remember in PR class, they also taught us this sort of thing that, you don't have to say something bad about someone and at the same time, you don't have to mention them. So it keeps you neutral. It keeps you in your neutral base, and it keeps you away from a whole lot of criticism and a whole lot of backlash, and so just based on the arguments that you guys had around with Jim, I think with Ineos, we are fucked pretty much. Jim did not do his due diligence, and I had this argument, I remember, before they bought the club, that I think this guy didn't do his due diligence before buying Man United because, he was sourcing around looking for clubs. 1 minute he was at Barcelona, next minute he's trying to buy Chelsea, the next minute, there's no way he would have had the time and and everything to digest everything that's happening at Man United. And to say that he's a diehard Man United fan, that's also completely false. Because if you're a diehard Man United fan, you know at least 10% of what's happening at this football club. So I'm not buying any of this PR, whatever that's happening. This is a man that is trying to fund a stadium and he doesn't know how he's going to get it done. This is what I said. It's a particular situation, and you can see that where this is all headed to. You know, he does not have the money. People need to understand that he does not have the money. And the sole reason why he bought Man United was it's for a vanity project, because he has no idea what he was working into. So what are you exactly were you buying them for? If you don't know what kind of business you're working, and you cannot tell me that these billionaires do not have advisors and whatnot. I think this guy just bought this club for the sake of, it's an ego thing, because if you know exactly how bad things are, you would not walk into this mess. It's not an advisable investment to make. Firstly, you know you don't have the pockets to take this club further. And you know what this club, you don't know what this club needs, and now you're walking into something that you don't know. So for me, it doesn't make sense. Firstly, I think he should walk away. He's already, you can tell that he's already submitting defeat. Personally, it's weakness on his part. And yeah, it's an unfortunate sad situation. Shazim should have came in. You know, Man United needed the pockets of someone who could do with what Shazim has, you know, and unfortunately Ineos do not have those pockets, you know, and unfortunately this club is, guys, we're pretty much messed, like we're done for, you know, until and unless maybe these guys all walk out. But at the moment, it's not looking good. That's all I can tell you. And I'm already Ineos out. I already said this. They failed at Nice. They failed at there's on all other sporting events, sporting clubs that they're at, and pretty much I would not trust them with this one either. You know, so nah, that's my stance on that, and I think that's how I'm gonna leave it. And
big up, Sean. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, I was just start from the last point that Lesson made about Sheikh Yazim, right? The point I made when this whole United takeover started was a simple point, but it was a political one. Manchester United is the crown jewel of English Premier League football. There was no way in hell it was going to be sold to the Qatari state. So let's park that. The other point I would make, right, starting, I was just going to take your points lesser from the back and go up. Love for the club. I think love for the club, you know, gets subsumed to $1.6 billion, right? Like no matter what love you have, I think the profit interest supersedes any kind of love or any type of you know, admiration or deep-seated history with Manchester United as a football club. So it's going to come down to the money, after all. Now, about what has happened since, I accept Sir Jim's explanations. Not accept in the sense that I endorse them, but they make sense to me, right? When he talks about the fact that it was an emotional decision to keep Ten Hag after the FA Cup final, that makes sense to me because I was there. I remember how we all felt, right, after the FA Cup final, and when the owner of the club comes out and says it was an emotional decision, it was a mistake, that makes sense to me because the fans, I think collectively, made that mistake, you know, in the summer. So it is what it is, essentially. And I don't think you can divorce this argument we're having right now from the performance we're seeing on the pitch. And I think that's the most important thing. Like, that's the most important thing that is going on at United right now.
Sean, we're gonna disagree. The question was about the super chat was about the stadium.
I was working backwards. I was working backwards from the points that
you don't have to walk backwards.
Okay.
You don't have to. We know the Glazers don't give a fuck about Manchester United. It's all about money for them, and it's the hard truth. You keep telling us it's about business. It's business for them, and Jim's the same. It's vanity. He already exposed that with the Gary Neville interview. He said when he walked from Mongolia to China, people didn't want to even look at his passport. They wanted selfies with him. And that's why he thought the fan outside Craven Cottage, outside Fulham car park, was one of them asking for selfie. We know that. He's told us many times. We don't need to speculate anymore. He told us. So about the stadium. That's what the question was about.
No, sure. So you can't divorce any of that from the football on the pitch. And I think this stadium is serving multiple functions, right? Number one, it's a PR move. It's meant to give people something to believe in, something to be inspired by, something to look forward to. So it's transparently about PR. I think also I'm glad to hear that everyone on the panel agrees that it's necessary as well, given the state of the infrastructure currently at Old Trafford.
We said it 10 years ago, Sean. We said it's old news. Majority of United fans have already said 10 years ago, we should have gone to 100-seater, or the stadium should have been plans to make it into 100-seater. We've always said that. Majority of fans who went to games, we've already said that. There should be more fans in the stadium because we can fill it. And it should have been done like the way it was done before McNair and McManus owned the football club. The two guys, the family who owned it, always every summer, every other year and a half, every money the club made, put it back into the club. Every money. I remember the money we sold Paul Ince to 8 million, I think, to enter Milan. And Edwards, the guy who owned Manchester United, was split that, I think, 4 million into improvements, parts of the stadium, 4 million for the training ground. But go ahead.
Okay, so I'll start again now, right? A couple of points on the stadium. I think I'll make 4 of them. One, it's a transparent PR move meant to give us something to believe in, find something to look forward to. Secondly, it's necessary, as we all agree, as the fans have been saying for years, it's necessary to move to a new stadium. I think the third thing is that it gives the club an opportunity to raise money. Like, it's going to be a huge branding boondoggle, essentially. Like, all over the stadium, there's going to be opportunities for the club to leverage this activity into brand deals. I think the fourth thing I would say is for the people listening who are living in Manchester as well. I think you can be sure that it's, at least from the way I see it, it's going to positively economically benefit the city of Manchester. And if you're a local contractor who lives there, if you provide any service, so for example, the environmental studies that, as Jarvis was saying, would need to be done to determine if the net would affect the birds, right? There's so many opportunities basically for people who live in Manchester, and there's room, I think, for a lot of local economic growth to come from this. So we're all on the same page, I think, from on this
I doubt it. To me, I still don't hold any of that. I think majority of working class people in Manchester will not be able to afford to go to the games. People can't even already afford it. They're already struggling with the bills. They're already struggling with mortgages. They're already struggling with the price.
I agree with you about that.
So majority of people would be struggling to even fill in that stadium. And also, just to say, the guy who's the architect is the same guy who built majority of stadiums in Qatar, and majority of the building of the stadium, parts of it, is going to be outsourced to Indonesia or Singapore or different part of the world. They're going to be making the materials and bringing it through the ship canal, through Liverpool, I think, through Liverpool, bringing it to the ship canal and then putting a structure. So a lot of the stands are going to be, or parts of them are going to be made. It's going to be like
prefabricated,
like a jigsaw puzzle, jigsaw bits. They're going to be like come in pieces and it's going to be put together. But
it's called prefabricated construction. You make it somewhere else and you assemble it, in a place. But I agree with you about, the economic situation and fans maybe not being able to afford the stadium, especially if it's going to be a stadium that will be built with new technology, a stadium built in Manchester and the UK where there's pretty dense and there's, literally no space. But depending on the area that is built, everybody who lives there, the value of your property is going to increase at the end of the rebuild, provided it's successful.
I actually feel so bad for some of the people now because that stadium's getting built. Because a lot of them some of the houses belong to the council. They don't belong to people, don't own the houses. The council, the social housing, some of them. And now some of those houses are going to have to be, the government might cash in and move those people out of there. It's craziness. It's the craziness. But let's get into Leicester. Just quickly, just to say we're playing Leicester tomorrow at 7 o'clock weird time. That must be happy for Sean, though. At least you can watch the game in normal time, yeah? What time is that? No. 7 o'clock in the UK? What time is that in
the beauty of this is that I watch the games no matter the time, right? So when I come here and people imply that they love Manchester United more than me, where are you?
No, we're not saying that.
Where are you at?
Nobody's saying
4 a.m. At 4 a.m. or 3:30 a.m. when I'm awake to watch
Manchester
United.
Sean,
I'm teasing you.
Sean, nobody was saying that. But if you start telling me I'm gonna scream and smash this fucking laptop and everything up, if you tell me the Glazers love Manchester United and Jim the Rat loves Manchester United, it doesn't. They both demonstrated they don't love Manchester United.
Don't smash your laptop. It's 9 a.m.
I'm just telling you. It's not about you. And actually, that's what I talk about. I always talk about fans who are from different parts of the world. And I talk about how privileged I am just to cycle 12 minutes by bike.
It's new.
It's 12 minutes door to door. The other night, no word of a lie, I left there. It was like 5 minutes to 8. I left because I was working. And I literally just dropped my bag at the cafe downstairs from where I live because I couldn't even be asked to come up to the apartment. I just dropped my bag at the cafe. I was like, I'm missing the kickoff, and I literally cycled quickly over. And then I was quite bad because my friend's kid, he's already gone in with his friends. But I just make sure he gets home all right after the game. You know what I mean? I missed to interact with him. But and then I got there in maybe 10 minutes because I was cycling like a madman. And it was dry. It was lovely weather. It wasn't raining. You know what I mean? I have to be careful. But let's talk about it. So what do we know about Rude's style of football? Rude plays. We know that Rude plays kind of this crazy formation. This 4-2-3-1 formation. You know, he likes the 2 wingers, 1 number 10, 1 striker, 2 midfielders. Actually, the way they play really is not changed a lot from the manager Cooper who was managing them before he got sacked. He's another person that actually got hired and was given zilch in January. So I actually feel sorry for him. Obviously, Vardy is older now, more injury prone. His powers as a striker are really, you know, he's declining. Is real. I think he's had an incredible career, by the way, Vardy, at a top level. They've got that young guy, number 10. He's really good. Young guy, I think of North African heritage. I always forget his name. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting game tomorrow. 7 o'clock, like I said, 7 o'clock is weird. 7 o'clock is a weird time because of the cup final. Tomorrow is Newcastle versus Liverpool, League Cup final at Wembley. And then there's a couple of games, I think at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock. Chelsea and that play. Let me have a look at the fixtures. Let me just show the fixtures, actually. Let me have a look at the fixtures for tomorrow. Show the people. Let's have a look at fixtures. Yeah, so you got one. Oh, you got London Derby, 1:30, Chelsea versus Arsenal. You got Fulham, actually 2 London derbies, both on at 1:30. Spurs versus Fulham versus Tottenham. And then you've got us at 9 o'clock. In between that League Cup final is at 4:30. 5 o'clock kickoff. Or 4:30 kickoff. That's going to be on Sky in the UK. They've played well. I actually think that if you watch them, and I have watched some of the games where they've been on, I actually think they're very pleasing on the eye. They play very much counter punch style of football. But I don't see any significant difference between him and Cooper's team. It was exactly the football they tried to play. He's had some bad injuries as well. It must be said. He's had some bad injuries. They had some incredible tricky winger, and I think he's out for the season. Last time I heard, Mount could be back tomorrow. So let me give you the notes, and then I'll get some of the things from you guys in a minute. So let me give you some of the notes, and then I can get what you think about how United should approach this, and where do you think we can win it. So let's get to some of the notes. So some of the notes here. Winger Abdul Fattah, Leicester City only absentee. Yeah, so he is Abdul Fattawi. He's injured. Head coach Ruud van Nistelrooy said on Friday that he has otherwise fully put square to choose from. Ricardo Pereira returned from a long-term injury layoff. Late substitute last week's 1-0 defeat at Chelsea. Manchester United midfielder Ugarte is back in contention after returning to the matchday squad on Thursday Europa League against Real Sociedad. Mason Mount is back in training and could be involved with Harry Maguire. Although Patrick Dogu saves the final game of 3-match span. Lenny Euro sidelined with a foot injury. Head-to-head, Leicester City have lost their last 3 Premier League games against Manchester United without scoring. They had been unbeaten in their previous 4 meetings. United have lost just one of their last 8 Premier League fixtures at the King's Power Stadium, 4-2 defeat in October 2021. They have beaten Leicester 3 times in all competition this season. Leicester have lost lost 12 of their last 13 Premier League games, including their last 5 without scoring a single goal. They could become the only 5th Premier League team to draw a blank in 6 consecutive matches. They have lost their last 6 Premier League home games by an aggregate of 15-0. The Foxes could become the first team top flight in history to lose 7 successive home fixtures without scoring. Leicester have conceded, wow, this is crazy. Leicester have conceded 998 goals in 678 Premier League games overall. 11 sides have let in 100 goals in all competition, but they could be the first to do it in fewer than 700 games. So, wow. 11 sides have let in 1,000 goals, not 100, 1,000 goals. So they could be the first team to do it in 700 games. Leicester have had 250 shots in the Premier League this is including 85 on target. Both total are their lowest in top flight. Ruud van Nistelrooy is the first manager to take in charge of both clubs in a specific Premier League fixture in a single season since Alan Pardew 2014-15, Crystal Palace and Newcastle United. Manchester United are set to win a consecutive league game this season. They're yet to win consecutive league games this season. Their longest wait for back-to-back league victories, single campaign since 1968-69. Manchester United have conceded 25 Premier League goals in matches at Old Trafford this season, as opposed to 15 in the league away from home. United have averaged 13 shots per game this season. They're second lowest in the record single Premier League campaign, 97-98. Rasmus Højlund has not scored in his last 21 appearances in all competition. Bruno Fernandes has 7 goals and 7 assists in the Premier League this season. Both total are the highest of any Manchester United player this term. So I'll go to you, Jarvis. What do you think tomorrow? What kind of game do you foresee?
Well, when it comes to Leicester, I don't think there's much to say. We have met them so many times this season. I feel we have played Leicester every other week, and we will meet them again. I think Leicester is a team we definitely should beat, and we will beat them because they are not a good football team. They have a couple of good individuals. Personally, when it comes to this team, I think Ndidi is one of their best players. I also like I think he's Moroccan, El Kanous.
El Kanous, that's the guy I was talking about. Yeah, I think Moroccan heritage,
Yeah, he's really good, and then also have Buonanotte. I think he's a really good player.
He's on loan from Leicester, though. He's not their player. He's on loan from Leicester. Sorry, he's on loan from Brighton. He's on loan from Brighton. Sorry.
Yeah,
he's not their player. Yeah.
Is he available or is he injured?
I think he's playing. Yeah, he's playing. Like I said, the only player who's out is that tricky winger that roasted. Let me get the possible lineups for tomorrow.
Yeah. It's Fatavu. Yeah, the guy who came from Porto. No, Sporting.
Yeah.
But he's really good.
This is the possible team. Player. Yeah, this is the possible team. So Ndidi, Daka, Samore, Kanous, Vardy, Christensen, Justin, Fayez, KD, and Thomas.
Yeah, Connor Cody. Yeah.
So they might match us tomorrow. They might match us in terms of the formation. 3-4.
I don't think so. I can't see them play 3-4-3. They will play 4-2-3-1. That's how we always go. No, I don't think Ruud will go with a 3-4-3. No, I can't see it. But so because in this formation now, I think they will play. Who do they have as striker? They have Vardy, El Kanous, and Ndidi.
Daka is a striker as well.
Yeah, they have that Mavedidi who played against us in the cup. He was really good. The left winger. I think he will start.
Okay.
Yeah, but when it comes to Man United, I think we, after a good performance, we usually drop. So I hope that he rotates the team. I think a lot of these players just need to land a little bit, calm down. So I hope he will start players like Collier. I expect Lindelof to play. I don't think we have many centre backs. I don't see we have any. We need Masraoui on the wing back. How it looks at the moment. The only option I can see is playing Collier on the wing back or even Garnacho, but I don't think so. I think he will play Masraoui. So Lindelof will
What
start.
happened to
But I don't.
Dorgu?
But I suspect Lindelof to play centrally of the three back line and De Ligt on the right side. I think Amorim is
Is
starting
Dorgu
to.
still on the red card?
Yeah, it's red card.
It's
Yeah,
his
yeah.
last game.
He can't play.
Yeah.
It's his final game. Final game. He can play after this.
Yes. So yeah, it looks interesting, but I hope he rotates a little bit. I don't. I'm not sure if Ugarte comes straight into the team. Do you think so? Could we?
Well, he didn't use him, so to me, it shows that he must not been ready. He must have been an injury worry because he didn't. He bought on Collier. I personally would tomorrow. I think I would take Bruno back to number 10 and play Collier. I'll play Collier and Casemiro. That's what I would do in my team. I would put Fernandes up there. I would rest Højlund and then play Xerxes up top. And then, just freshen it up, just to give him a bit more rest, Højlund, and bring him on. Because I remember last season, some of the games he came on after he's been not in such a great form. I thought he performed well in the last game. And some might say he should continue. But yeah, I would take Bruno back to number 10 because he's playing with a bit more confidence now. And just play Casemiro or play Collier, Casemiro, or Collier, Ugarte.
The only thing, Nordin,
is
there's an international break coming up, so there will be 2 weeks off after this game.
Oh yeah, I forgot.
And a player like Casemiro, for instance, he's not
Manchester
going into international, so he will have 2 weeks off. So resting Casemiro now is probably not a why do it?
But Jarvis, I think this is where it gets really interesting, right? But I think Xerxes has finally come into his stride as a number 10. And it looks like he has locked down that position. I think Amorim also thinks he's onto something by playing Garnacho in one of the number 10 positions. So I expect both of them to continue in the number 10s. And Bruno has to play. So now it looks like a question of who will partner Bruno, Casemiro or Ugarte. Because I don't mind seeing Ugarte and Casemiro in midfield together. But I think Amorim has a very interesting choice, like what to do with that, what would we call it now, the square, basically in midfield, right? Between the two number 10s and the two deeper midfielders. I know Xerxes isn't going anywhere, right? That seems for sure. And Garnacho looks like he has locked down the other number 10 position. So it then leaves Bruno, Ugarte, and Casemiro. And it's probably going to be Bruno and one of them. I would go with Ugarte. But Casemiro looks like he's back in form. Like looks like a leader, but the legs are not there. His mind might be where it used to be, but I think Amorim needs to also be brave enough to manage the squad.
Yeah, but from a tactical point of view, Amorim has adjusted his team because of this. When he plays with Casemiro, we don't press with this pentagon shape. Casemiro is ahead, so we only have like 4 guys pressing. So we have changed a little bit without when Casemiro is on the pitch because Amorim has realized that Casemiro can't run all the way up and down and cover all that big area. So
with Amorim, right?
We play more of a diamond when Bruno and Casemiro is on the pitch. They're not running up and down all the time.
And Amorim is Mr. Transparent, right? So when he's literally saying, "I'm just learning how to use a player like Casemiro," I hear that and I'm like, "Wow! Like, what do you mean?" And I think what you're saying now, Jarvis, makes a lot of sense, right? Like tactical adjustments to suit Casemiro specifically, which is fair, right? I wish Dorgu was playing because, to be honest, like he looks like probably one of our most dangerous attacking players going forward. So it's too bad that he's not playing this game. But yeah, I expect us to win, but just because Leicester are so poor. For me, it's road to 40 points. I think absent any surprises, it should be calm 3 points tomorrow.
Interesting. Personally, I would start Collier because I think he just needs more game time, and I like him. I think he's a good player.
So Collier and Bruno.
Yeah, but I'm speaking against myself because I just said that Casemiro don't need rest, but I don't know how he will set up his team. But either way, I think we will be good. I think we will win. It doesn't matter even for me if we play Collier or Casemiro or both or Bruno. But I think Bruno is starting to learn his role now in this Amrim system, and he's in great shape now, and I would move him into the 10 position again. I would just play him as the number 8, deep lying creative midfielder. I think that's his role now. And when it comes to Højlund, I would start Højlund again because I think just if he gets a goal or two now against weaker opposition, maybe we can kickstart the season. I know it's late, but it could come good. He's still young, and what we saw against the Real Sociedad, who knows?
You know what I like. You know what I like the most from Højlund. What I like the most about that Real Sociedad game from Højlund specifically, it wasn't even the skills or the passes. I think it was his attitude, right? The smile on his face, like the hug with Dalot, the conversation with Xerxes. That seems to me like somebody who is a real teammate. Okay, I'm in a bad spot right now, but I'm here for everyone else. Let's jump in.
Yeah, but the thing is, I agree. But when it comes to the summer, we need to sign another striker, and Højlund is not our starting striker, but for the next season. But he can still come good, and I think we will benefit for the rest of the season if he scores a goal and comes into shape and gets his confidence going. And even who knows, if you want to sell him in the summer, it will be easier if he scores, let's say, 5-6 goals in the remainder of the season.
Especially for the Europa League run. If Højlund can score a few goals there, that would be good. But like I think the only place I would say I'm concerned, right, is the Dalot Mazraoui wing back situation. I don't like it. Like I don't like when both of them play at wing back. I think we don't get what we get from Dorgo. Those kind of busting runs through the left flank with somebody looking to pass in behind. That's really valuable. Like with Dalot and Mazraoui, we get a lot of. I don't think it's the best use of Mazraoui. Neither of Dalot, to be frank. And I think there is a weakness mentally in this team. And I think that's if Ruud can get anything out of this game, if Leicester can get it, it should be exploiting that fragility in this Man United team. If you rough them up a bit, especially if maybe somebody like Casemiro isn't on the pitch, or if Delete isn't playing either. I've been thinking back to our Delete arguments, Jarvis, about Delete and Lenny Euro. And I think we've seen a lot more from Delete right now. Right since what did you say?
Yeah. But for me, I think you mentioned that. I think the question mark is Dalot and Mazraoui. How to play, because if Dalot plays on the left, Xerxes will play with Xerxes and Heaven, and both Heaven and Dalot is a little bit shaky. They don't have the confidence, in making play. And we know Xerxes likes to drop, he likes to lay off, he likes to create, and how will we get Xerxes going if we have players like Dalot around him? And because
we should just have too much quality, right? With Bruno, with maybe Garnacho, with Delete being solid at the back, with Mazraoui being who he is. Lindelof, I think, had some moments of I guess like against our last league game. Lindelof had a few good movements, into midfield, kind of like what Amorim might be looking for ideally from his midfielder. It's just that Lindelof also is bound to give you 2 minutes of just straight garbage, just like a straight mental failure on his part. But I think we should win. Like I'm saying, I think we should just have too much quality, maybe like a 2-1 win, or like a very boring 2-0.
I've got a question just to ask. So the panel, do you think you should focus on the Europa League and just start resting, because nobody gives a damn where we finish in the league? Lesso, what do you think? Do you think you should just try to focus on trying to win the Europa League like Jose did at that time, and should you rest players and maybe start some of the youngsters. Obviously now, there's no point in this game, but when we come back, because we're going to be in a 2 weeks of break of football, isn't it? When we come back, we've got the Manchester City derby. Are you asked about the City derby, or would you prefer to beat Lyon and go through to the semi-final? You there, Lesso? Lesso might not be there.
I'm still here.
Yeah, go ahead, bro. Speak up a bit louder, please, bro.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, but it's very low, but just bit more voice. Bit more voice.
Can hear you.
Yeah, I think in the case of just not wanting the season to end very early, I think beating Lyon has to be a thing, just for the sake that the season don't end and we actually get to see something, because personally for me the league it's pretty much dead. It's a training session for next season. It's basically pre-season. So I prefer us beating Lyon. And with regards to Leicester, I think we should get 3 points in terms of that result.
I mean, I guess if I can just jump in, I don't think there's a choice, honestly. I think, again, like I said, I think last time I was on the show, the manager needs to be a little bit more delusional, and he needs the players to be delusional. We need to start our own mini league from now to the end of the season and try and win it. We need to finish very strong. I don't see a choice necessarily between the league and the Europa League. We need to go as far as we can in Europe, but we can't just give up the league, because there is the emotional side of things too. There's no way we go through terrible games, because when we lose, it's always an inquest. So there's no just losing, or we'll see you guys during the middle of the week in Europe where we're bound to win for sure. So there's no choice, honestly. Amorim needs to do all he can to finish strong. The more players who come back from injury, the better. He's talking up Mason Mount. I like to hear that. I hear Ahmad is going to be back in a month or so. That's good. Collier is back, as we've been saying. Ugarte is back as well. Xerxes is coming into form at the right time of the season. So is Bruno. So is Delete. So we need to finish the season strong. The players need to, even if the story is that it took us very long, it was a painful journey, but we need to, I think, sometime in this season, come out at the other end of the storm. The light at the tunnel, even if it comes in the last 2 weeks of the season, we need to get there somehow.
Jarvis?
Yeah.
You think you should focus on the Europa
question
League?
For us to just focus on. Yeah, I think we could. We should do it, but we just need. For me, it's not about results in the Premier League anymore. Now it's just about getting things right, getting the system right, getting players into the system and learning and adapting. And I've seen now in the last couple of games they look more dynamic. I like what I see. They understand each other. When Xerxes drops, lays off the ball, we have deep runs from Masraoui. The interchanging between Garnacho and, for example, Dorgu or whoever plays on the wing back. Understanding that we shouldn't use the wing back when we try to play out. We try to find the pockets in centrally. It's a lot of small details that looks good now, and I just want us to focus and build on this and become better. And results, yeah, so what if we lose against other teams? Because if we come in 14th, 13th, 12th, if we win the rest of our games, we will probably end up in 10th place, So it doesn't matter. Prize money, yes.
But Jarvis, I would argue that a key part of Arteta's, whatever you think of what I would call quote unquote success, I would think a key part of that was how he finished that season. Right, the final season before they crossed the threshold into a second place team, they finished pretty strong. It was a terrible season all the way through. I think there is an X factor, the confidence part of things. I think it's important that the players start to feel like we've come out on the other end of Amorim, and along the lines of what you're saying, these third man runs, these give and goes, the camaraderie we're seeing within the squad members, that comes, I think, from results. And we've been through a lot this season already. And we need to see the results of all the pain that we've suffered through the season. We need to show that like it was worth something, even if that ends with Europa League trophy. But I don't think Amorim can afford to make a choice there necessarily. He has to show, which I think has been his point, the entire time, that he's willing to use a squad. Unlike Ten Hag that wanted to only keep playing 11 players, he's willing to use a squad, and he's going to rotate when he needs to. But there's no choice between like the league and the Europa for me, as far as I'm concerned. We need to finish the season strong on both ends. Start a mini league. Like, let's delude ourselves. Start the league again from scratch. Wherever we finish, we're champions of our own little tournaments. Hopefully, there is a real Europa tournament for us to win as well. But we need to finish the season strong, and I think we need to finish the season on a high.
Yeah.
I actually agree with Sean. You might be shocked. I'm not asked about Europa League. I think going into the Champions League will paper over the cracks. I genuinely do think. I think he needs to lay down his kind of the team that he wants and drop the players that he wants to get rid of. To get the message, send the message right now. I know that we're not gonna have the money to get quality players. I think it might be good to blood some of the young players. That's me personally, to see what they're made of. Because there's no pressure on now. Next season, there'll be pressure. There's no pressure now. There is no pressure right now.
No. Right now, it's road to 40 points now, no?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So there's no pressure on right now. So actually, getting the young players to get on there, to get them to get to know the system in this last month and a half, 2 months of the season, I personally think. Me personally. That's how I feel. That's what I feel about it. Because I think if you try to put all your eggs in one basket, one 15-minute spell in any, against Lyon, and Lyon are bullyish, very bullyish, by the way, Lyon, very bullyish. It is kind of like they can come and they can get the game away from us. So, yeah.
But challenge with the youth now.
We wanted relegation. We wanted a total reset. And I think if Manchester United were to win the Europa League, it will paper over the cracks. Huge papering over the cracks.
No, but it depends on how we win it. No.
In the last 12 years of this football, that's all we've done. We've survived on papering over the cracks. We've become papering over the cracks, FC, for me personally. And
it depends on how.
To be laid bare. Last season, the FA Cup was papering over the cracks. That's why Ten Hag.
That's true.
To a certain extent. We were papered over the cracks the season before when we won that League Cup. And after that, the season was over. After that, the football crashed. It was horrendous. And we were calling it out in real time, real time. We were not just having a hindsight. We were calling it out in real time. So for me personally, winning the Europa League, Manchester United need to have a season without no European football. They need to understand where they're at. They need to be focused and understanding where the football club is at and where they are. Yeah. And for me, Thursday, Sunday BS, I don't want to know next season. I want the manager to have before the League Cup and the FA Cup start, to have time on the training ground with whatever player he's getting, because he's not getting quality. He's not getting.
I'll use your own players. I'll use your own argument against you, right? That you use for me with Sir Jim. I think if Amorim thinks he has time for that, he should. This is the big leagues. I'm sorry. I say we need to be delusional. I don't care. I want to hear the Champions League sound next year. It doesn't matter, right? Like what anybody thinks we deserve or we don't deserve. 90 minutes, anything is possible, right? So
you want to be embarrassed and finish bottom of that league.
Not embarrassed, because if the manager is actually...
We are. The football we're playing right now, we're going to be embarrassed.
That's the football we're playing.
Agree.
The football we're playing.
Manchester United team now. What would happen to this Manchester United team in the Champions League, Jarvis? Be honest.
Right now, we would struggle, but we have a summer
right
ahead,
now.
And we could... Yeah. And Amorim, he will have a full preseason getting his principles into this team. So it could change. In football, things can happen really fast. That's the way. But no, we don't deserve to be in the Champions League next season. But And
I want to be clear. I'm not making a rational argument, right? I'm saying we need to be deluded. Like, the manager needs to delude himself and to feed the players with some level of delusion about what is possible. He needs to get them to believe, that they are better than what they are. currently. That's the only way that we can get to where we need to go. And I think the issue with playing the youth is that chances are, out of our starting 11, we're probably going to be left with at least 7 out of 11 next season, right? So he needs to get, that's what I'm saying, we need to get through the storm this season. We need to get, because the core of the team is still going to be around next year. And that core needs to be embedded into whatever Amorim's vision, after he has gotten this baptism of fire in the last 25 games or so that he has been in England. Whatever comes out of that, I think needs to finish the season strong. That's what I'm saying, that like we can't choose between the Europa League and the Champions League. And the Premier League. We need to finish the season with the story of United being Amorim has gotten it right eventually. That needs to be the story of Manchester United at the end of the season. That Amorim went through a tough time, but at the end of that storm, we came out strong. That has to be the story, because if we end this season with any type of uncertainty around whether or not the vision really makes sense, then we get into next season counting each game, right? Oh, is it this game that he gets sacked? Is this the game? When do we finally pull the plug? We can't have another summer of, oh, we need to sign somebody or else, we're fucked. Like, we need to end the season on a high. And I think Amorim understands that from everything I've heard him say so far.
I disagree. I fundamentally disagree. I think Manchester United have been deluding ourselves for 12 years and counting, 13 years now and counting. I think that's the biggest thing. I think we need to stop deluding ourselves. The coach needs to get a grip. The players need to get a grip. The so-called owners, these vultures, need to get a grip, because we've been in the delusions. I understand that, obviously, as fans, we want that. We want to compete. There's nothing more I love going to Champions League nights, Old Trafford, than ever. And actually, the other night, it reminded me the way that crowd was, the atmosphere was. It was like it was throwback to the Champions League in the 90s, where we deserved to be there. In the 90s, mid to late 90s, and that's what it was bringing back. But I really think a pre-season, Jarvis, you say we're flying to Asia. I don't know how many countries we're flying between. All of that jet lag and everything else. How much can you get across? We know that we don't usually sign players till July. So how many players would he have available with him to take on the plane to the preseason, to do this kind of shape work that he needs to do, structural work that he needs to do? I doubt it. I doubt it. I think it's going to be a struggle. I'm not going to lie, guys. I think it's going to be a struggle. And for me, for once, I'm a believer in that you need to. This is a therapy channel, after all. Delusion is one thing. It's a mental health illness. Delusion is a mental health illness, and you need to tell the truth about where we are, and we all have to accept that where we are in terms of being on the football pitch.
I mean,
and I said it for a long, long time.
What do we think it means?
It was what do we think, or what was going around in the back of house? What do we think it means?
What do we think it means to be Spursy, for example, quote unquote, right? What do we think it means to be Spursy, or when we say it's Arsenal? It's a mental thing, right? Or we talk about the theater of dreams. It's not just a mental thing. It's not just, right? But I think the mental part is
from the pitch. Your team has to play well. Arsenal have done in the last couple of seasons. This season has been the biggest fall off. For the last 2 years, they played some phenomenal football.
I like to speak like in empirical terms, right? So if you ask me what the equation is for success as a football club, or in a football match, I would say 40% is your actual skill or technical ability. 60% is the mental part. No matter how good you are as a footballer, no matter how good you are as a technical or whatever as a coach, if you don't have the 60 necessarily needed to cross the line, so it's not all mental, but I think the mental part is more important than anything else. And one of Amorim's, I think, most important insight was that the players lack confidence, because Old Trafford is basically a cauldron right now, deservedly so. And the lack of confidence basically eventually seeped into the manager and has now seeped into our owner, who is basically a coward. Ratcliffe, I'm talking about, is cowardly and is begging for some sympathy and trying to manipulate the fans with the statements, right? So the pressure's on everybody. And one way or the other, we need to build up that resilience in the players. That comes by buying players who already have naturally that self-confidence and self-belief. But I think also it comes from, a certain type of lock yourself in a room, go to the gym, lock in, basically lock in, quote unquote. We have to lock in. We have to lock into the end of the season. And Amorim needs to find a way basically to get these guys to believe that they can climb mountains.
Yeah.
I think you can only delude yourself for so long. I don't know what Jarvis thinks. Go ahead, Jarvis, and then we'll get Lesso from the last word. We've been going for 2 hours and 20 minutes. Go ahead.
Well, for me, I think when it comes to the Champions League, winning the Europa League, I think actually we can do it a little bit. The more I think of it, the more I think we can do it because we are a cup team. We have players that can show up when it's now or never. We know that we show up in the City games and Liverpool games, Arsenal games, and the cup games. We won.
You think that
we won the League Cup 2 seasons ago. We won FA Cup last season. I think these players wants to win it and they know how to win a cup tournament.
Do you think we can do it without Martinez and Ahmad?
I think,
and also Kobe. Without Kobe, without Ahmad, without Lisandro Martinez. I think with those three, I think we could give a game to anybody. But I don't underestimate Lyon. And if we beat Lyon, most likely we're going to meet Atletico Bilbao.
Yeah.
And that's who I think. And I think that those two teams might be better. Atletico Bilbao is 4th in La Liga. That's no joke. You see that the goal-scoring team. Lyon is exactly the same. And Lyon have been on a downward run, and now they're coming back up. So they're the team on the up, and they're quite buoyant. So when I look at Manchester United right now, other than if we get the penalties that we got the other night, which were some people say I watched the game again. By the way, I found a channel. I watched the game again, and boy, oh boy, I don't think we're getting that. What the second penalty? We're not getting that. We're not getting that away from home. So
but you can also say the same with them. The first penalty was dodgy.
Yeah, I mean that VAR reached out. To be fair, he did touch him. He touched him. But the other one, you could look at it in a different way. Did he mean to block him by running at him and putting his arm? I think that's 50-50.
And when you look at it over two legs, the first, the Bruno handball in the first leg.
Yeah, that was harsh. That was harsh.
Yeah,
I'll give you that. That was harsh.
But I think the other place,
I just don't see where the match winners are other than penalties. I genuinely don't. That's just me personally. Having watched the team, as well as they performed, I don't think in terms of the game, we've got somebody like Lisandro Martinez who can pass and find the balls, and somebody who can make the runs like Ahmad did. And Ahmad just controlling the ball and going at teams. I don't think we have the power. I think both Atletico Bilbao and Lyon have more weapons. And if we beat them, we have to do something. We have to play. This team has to play to go to the final, to beat Lyon, and if to beat Bilbao, they have to play the best football they played this season. And that means the level of football that they played at Anfield. They have to have that type of a game. They have to have 4 games of the level. And those two, in those games, both scorers, both match, the guys who could have won us the game, both of them are not in the team without Martinez and Amad Diallo. But go ahead.
Yeah, but for me, when it comes to European football, I think we have one thing that's really positive. We are not physically outmatched, because when you see in the Premier League, I think we are a team of small, weak players. Even Højlund gets bullied by the centre backs in the Premier League, but when you go to Europa, it's something else. So when it comes to physicality, I think we are so much better off when we play in the European tournaments, and that's why I think we are doing well, because we are not getting bullied off the pitch like we do in the Premier League. And I have to give it to Amorim. He's getting a tune out of this team, but
you said about that just quickly, Jarvis. Is that Lyon would be a physicalist. The French league is the closest league to the Premier League in terms of physicality and tempo. Just letting you know that.
Yeah,
Lyon. So Lyon will match us in terms of physicality.
Yeah, and that's the word.
Bilbao is different. They play a bit more football. But they've got Williams, the William brothers, and he's a nightmare. And him playing against Diego Dalot does not, on that side of the pitch, does not fill me with any confidence. But go ahead.
Yeah. And I just want to say with Amorim's getting a tune out of this team, and then you have seen now in the last 5 games, I would say, we are creating more and more chances. It comes down to clinicality. Against Real Sociedad, if Højlund could finish, he would have probably scored 3 goals that game. It's really big chances, and others are stepping up. Masraoui is stepping up. He's coming into the box a lot. We have other players. Bruno now is stepping up, taking a responsibility as a captain, and then I see positives going forward. So, I think if we focus now on performance and starting to catch on what Amorim is trying to tell us, I think we can actually do this. But yeah, it's not going to be easy. I'm not sitting here saying it. We will easily win the Europa League, because it will be difficult. And we have to have some luck, and then when it comes to this tournament, cup football, anything can happen, dodgy referee decision, red card, injury on key players, who knows? Even Bruno can get injured. What are we doing if he gets injured? He's been vital for us now in the last 5-6 games. Even though people think I'm having a Bruno agenda, I appreciate what he's done now in the last games. I think he looks really good, and yeah, I don't know if it's Amorim or if it's just the players stepping up, or I don't know. What do you think Amorim is starting to get the tune out of this team?
He better.
I think he's slightly changed. I think playing. I think in the last 5 to 6 games, the formation is the formation, but the structurally the team playing off the back foot, especially when Maguire's in the team, Casemiro in the team, we don't press. We're not doing it. Even though I did think the pressing sequences against Bilbao was really good. Watching it live, seeing it live, like seeing the triggers, Zertsky being one of the triggers to go, and then most people go in, and then everybody squeezing. But it's because we had Evan, Delay, and Masraoui at the back, and they could squeeze. That helped. But I think in some of the other games, the tactics against Arsenal, for example, was low block. So he's changed from mid block, but at times the midfield is still empty. And I think the better opposition you come up against, the more you will be punished. I still think that at times vacating the midfield, I see the same things same errors as I would see off the ball. I see where teams can come out and play through us, because the press is not. If the press is slightly off, teams can play through us and bob us into the next. So for me, it's the data is too small for me to judge, because the structure of the team has been different.
The jury is still out.
Yeah. The tactics have been 4 or 5 games that we did mid to low block. Couple of games we did low block. Couple of games we played with 3 aggressive centre halves, like we did with Delay in the last game, and I thought we pushed on. We squeezed. I was there watching it. Honestly, I stood up for 1 minute just to see how much we were squeezing into the half. By the way, did you guys know that it is Amorim's tactic to not to shoot to the Stretford end in the second half? That's part of the things how he wants. Yeah. Yeah, which is, I don't know what nobody's asked him, but apparently it's in an article of Athletic. But it is what it is.
Okay. But I just want to say, Nordian, when it comes to this, I still see a lot of things that needs to be fixed. I think our 3 centre backs are too far apart. They need to squeeze more and move as a unit. But we stretch out, and I think when we are trying to play out from the back, the time it takes to pass the ball from one centre back to another takes too long, because the distance is too big.
It's like people who've never played football before. They can never just let the ball, when somebody passes the ball, they can never let the ball run across their body and in one motion pass it off. Everybody's standing on the ball, and it's shocking.
The only thing
tactically, before we go quickly, tactically, it's 2.5 hours now, the show.
Yeah.
Last word, tactically, do you think we've changed? Like Jarvis is saying, can you see a massive difference in the way we're playing?
Yeah, of course we did do. I think
can you
he
speak
did
up a little bit, bro? People
Can
are
you hear me?
struggling to hear.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm saying technically, he did tweak it a little bit, and especially you can see in terms of the way he uses certain players now. It's not the same way he was using them in the beginning, if you remember correctly. If you get Casemiro as well, in terms of the game, and in terms of how he uses them and utilizes them. And as well as he's also, he's played with Zexia in the 10. He doesn't look at him as a striker anymore. He looks at him as a more of a 10, as he said. Even when they talked to him, he said that's where he sees him playing more or less. And then I mean, we have slightly improved, and I did say that we're a cup team, by the way. We're more suited to these cup games than we are to league games. Look, we can't string 2 games in the league. We can't win 2 games in a row for a reason. But when we get to these cup games, we can somewhat, get away with it, because you can draw. By the way, you can draw a game and then try and win the next one. So it's not like a one-off game where you play and then and then you're hoping for a result and that's it. Unlike in a league game where there's that pressure, that game is done. If you lose against that team. It's on to the next game. That's why I think that we're more suited to winning a cup more than we are at the moment trying to go for something like a league or something like that. We're just not consistent enough yet. But we'll get better. Like I told people, that we will only get better as the season progresses, and going into next season as well, we will look much more better because we'll have the preseason, and possibly some of these players will adjust to would have already adjusted to the way they know Amorim wants to play. So I'm not really worried in terms of the overall play. We will improve that part. It's just the problem I have is whether this club will want to back him or will they spend, because now the problem is already they're making excuses that they're planning for life in the Europa League for 3 seasons. That's a concern, for your owners to come out and already tell you guys that, that's what we're preparing for, that we see this team being in the Europa League for the next couple of seasons to come. So it clearly shows that we're going to use the model, I think more or less the Brighton model, or in terms of recruitment and everything. If you look at the young players that we're trying to get through the door and everything, it screams the Brighton model. Try and get the cheaper player get the player before the bigger club gets the player, later on. So basically, you get in the player while you'll be competing with the smaller teams in terms of getting the player before they're taken by the bigger teams. So it's gonna be a long journey, unfortunately, and a painful one for United fans. So I'm not dreaming anything about the Champions League or challenging for the Champions League in the next coming seasons, because clearly that's what the ownership said, that they are not gonna. That's not the reality of the matter. Amorim will improve, and it's good to see that he's adjusting, because even though you're bringing a new way of playing, or rather you want to stick to your play, the way you want to play, I think it's important to actually tweak things. Pep did it. Klopp did it. Everyone that comes to this league somewhat do tweak the way they used to play compared to the way they played in the leagues that they were coaches in. So it's only natural that he's gonna go and tweak. He's gonna tweak it. Going into it. Even next season, you'll see the difference. There will be difference in formation, in more or less formations during the game. We may start the same way in terms of the formation with the 3-5-2 sort of formation, but it may change during the game. And you can see it during the game. We do our formation does somewhat change. So Amorim is a very, like I said, even at Sporting, he didn't play the same way he played in his second season. He didn't play the same way that he did in his first season at Sporting. So we're only gonna change and tweak. He's gonna tweak a few things, and he will learn. So yeah.
Go ahead, Sean. Last word from you.
Not much to say. Just, I hope and expect the season to finish strong. And I think Amorim needs to prove the theory of his case. He said we're going to go through a storm. The storm turned out to be more painful than he or any of us could have expected. And we need to come out on the other end of that storm by the end of the season, as far as I'm concerned.
Jarvis, last word of the show from you. You're muted, Jarvis.
Yeah, I just want to say it's been a good show, and we have had a good debate. I think we have a game tomorrow that we should win, and I think it will be nice for us to win and go into an international break and not being in panic mode for once. Let's just win this game and just relax for 2 weeks. It will be good with a little bit of break. It's been a lot of games lately, and I think Amorim needs a break now because it's been too many interviews. I think it's been too much waffling. He says the same things in every interview. So I think he needs just to relax and recharge his batteries too. So it will be good for all of us, and even for us on the panel. We have been working hard, slaving in the kitchen, and I'm glad that people actually have liked the channel. 151 watching, but 186 likes, so that's good. And if you haven't liked,
Wow,
please like the stream. So big up to the therapy army.
Yeah, big up, people. Big up. And please make sure you go and subscribe to www.youtube.com/Bowley77. Tactical Devils. Tactical Devils Army. Make sure you subscribe to that. You get 2 hours on analysis after games, breakdown of the football. So go and check that out. Make sure you follow Sean Thomas on Twitter. And then also make sure you check out geopolitical podcast, How We See Things. I will never be invited on there because you won't get in each other ways because I wouldn't even let him speak. I'll be kicked off after 2 minutes. So go and check it out.
How self-aware of you?
How We See Things. It's all across your, podcast providers. And make sure you check out Leicester TV football, but Black Rain on Twitter. And like I said, we need to get Tactical Devils to over 1,000 subscribers. They've been grafting really hard, so make sure you go and check it out there. We'll be live tomorrow sometime, maybe in the night, maybe 10:30, something like that. Maybe around 10 o'clock. We'll be
going
live.
to the game.
No, I'm not going to go to the game, but I might be doing a couple of things because it's 7 o'clock. I made some plans and I forgot that it was a 7 o'clock game. But yeah, I'll be live maybe at 10 or 9:30, something like that, or 9 o'clock for the match reaction. Big up to everybody. Fuck Zionism. Fuck the Glazers. Fuck Jim the Rat. If you want to be down with him, then fuck you too. Fuck free Palestine, free the Congo, free Sudan, free Tigray, free Haiti, free anywhere where people are oppressed in this world, whether they're oppressed in their religion, orientation, their gender. We welcome everybody here. Free the Manchester 10, free the people in prison, free them all. Solidarity with all the indigenous people everywhere in this world, whether it's Scandinavia, Latin America, Africa, wherever they are in this world. Solidarity and love to all those who are going through oppression. And free Mahmoud Khalil. And fuck the fucking Zionist takeover of the American government. Fuck Zionists. Please do not equate Judaism and Jewish people with Zionists. The biggest side group of Zionists in this world are Christians. The second biggest group of Zionists are Muslims. If you want to know what countries are hardcore Zionists, you don't need to look any further than the UAE. The people who own Man City, they're the biggest, some of the biggest. Jordan, the ruling government, some of the biggest. Saudi Arabia, part of them are Zionists as well. So please remember that. Do not equate Jewish or Judaism with the State of Israel. The State of Israel is a political project. It's a political entity. It's a illegitimate entity. Fuck fucking Israel. You want to support Israel, and fuck you too. Free Palestine. Solidarity and love to the Palestinians who are suffering, continuing to suffer the aspects of the genocide as they go through hunger, starvation as a tactic. Israel is doing a starvation tactics. Fuck the GCSEs because on A levels or any other exams, because they don't make you the human being you are. They're just a piece of paper. You know who you are as a human being, and as long as you try your best, you should be happy with that. Free fucking Syria as well from the beheading bastard that's in charge right now. We told you about these Wahhabis, these psychopaths who are beheading people. Solidarity and love to the Christians in Syria, to the Alawites in Syria, to all other people in Syria who do not believe in Wahhabism. Fuck Wahhabism as well, if you're there. You know who we know this. We researched this. We understand what we're talking about. So Al-Qaeda and ISIS are now in charge of Syria. Have you ever noticed Al-Qaeda or ISIS never say anything about Israel? Bit of a coincidence, isn't it? Bit of a fucking coincidence. They think we're fucking stupid. We're not. Solidarity and love to everybody in this world who sees it. Fuck Jim. We don't give a fuck how you feel, Jim. I don't give a damn about if it's enough for you. Get the F out of my football club. Get the F out of my football club and take the Glazers with you. Simple as. Free the Congo, free Sudan. Solidarity and love to everybody else. Jarvis, when you live again, let the people know.
Yeah, we will be live tomorrow night, right after the game with tactical breakdown, me and Stu.
There you go.
So if you have nothing better to do, tune in, and it will be nice. You know, we will go through the latest footage of the games and what happened and every situation that's worth mentioning from a tactical point of view. So it will be interesting. And tomorrow I will have a closer look at our press play with only 4 players, how it will work if Casemiro starts. I will also look at the centre backs, especially the wide centre backs, if they are able to press as high as we want them to, if they have the courage. Even this young kid, Heaven, needs to adapt a little bit because we in the last game we only saw the Masraoui side pushing high, but not the side with Heaven. So there's still room for improvement, and I hope Højlund gets a goal tomorrow, so he will kickstart his season. I think it will be good for his confidence. And even then, he goes into an international. He will play for Denmark, maybe scores a couple of more goals, and there will be a different player coming back. So it's a lot of talking points. So guys, tune in tomorrow night on the Tactical Devils right after the game.
Yeah, big up, love and light. Nearly 3-hour show. There you go. Enjoy.
Yeah, massive.
Big up. Tactical Devils, YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. Let's get to over 1,000. Take care. Big up Leicester as well. Love. Free fucking Palace.